Tonight, our theme is a bad idea on Comic Book Canon. What is happening, all you fine people? Welcome back to Comic Book Canon. Every Friday night, we talk about the thing that we love, and that is comic books and everything related to comic books. And I am always joined each and every week by my co-host, Christopher. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
You know, I didn't really sleep at all last night. I just came off a really long and awesome show on my channel, and I'm just even more happy to be here right now. Second win, ready to go. Let's do it.
I don't know how you do it. I don't. Chris goes for about 2 hours before he does this show, and I mean, I'm exhausted after this show, and to do another one on top of that, no. But that being said, this is a great show tonight, and we are biased, I know, because it's our show, but I don't care. I am super pumped for this show. So not only are we going to get into the news, as we do each and every week, not only are we going to do the top 10, fresh from the comic shop, but we have a very special guest co-host tonight. Very special, Dinesh Shamdasani. He is the former CEO of Valiant. You guys probably know that publisher very well. He is launching a brand new company called Bad Idea. That's the tie-in to the cold open that I just did. I think you get that now. It's just fun saying it's a bad idea. We'll get behind the name as well. And he's also the producer of Bloodshot, which was one of my favorite movies to open up the pandemic with. So I'm really psyched that he's here talking about his new projects, talking about Bloodshot, talking about Valiant. He'll also co-host, be showing off his Fresh from the Comic Shop. He'll also be talking about the top 10, and we'll get into Q&A. He has not seen this week's episode of WandaVision, so we'll leave it on him if he wants to stick around to talk about WandaVision. Anyways, again, super happy to have all you guys here. But Chris, what do we start off with each and every week?
Maybe some current events.
We do, but we forgot something, Chris. Can you speak to this right here, what you see on the lower third?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm glad that we're bringing this up because we have to let every one of you know that our 500 subscriber contest is still rolling, guys. We did the early birds get the possible second worm, but that grand prize is still open for everyone. So what you need to do is go find that video after the show that's on our channel here that talks about what you need to do to enter the contest. Check that out. Do all the few simple steps that you need to do to enter, and then you're good, guys. So if you haven't done it yet, please just take a few minutes to do so. We're getting close. We are getting close. We're getting there really soon. We'll probably have another update next week because we'll be itching right there.
All right. Also, starting off the news, I'm going to take off this hoodie because I'm just getting too hot. All right. That being said, Chris, you got the first story tonight. Have at it.
All right. I always say when we talk about Spider-Man news, because Jeff and I are both big Spider-Man fans, but man, did Tom Holland drop a nugget or something else that you flushed down the toilet? I don't know, but he says that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are not in Spider-Man 3. All right, let's go into this. Do you believe him? Or is he just pulling our legs? So be prepared to have your hearts ripped out if it is true, though, because in an interview with Esquire, Tom Holland speaks out, shutting down months-long rumors by making this statement, quote, no, they will not be appearing in this film, end quote. He goes on to say, though, unless they have hidden the most massive piece of information from me, which I think is too big of a secret for them to keep from me, but as of yet, no. It'll be a continuation of the Spider-Man movies that we've been making. But wait, is Marvel truly keeping that big chunk of information from him and keeping him in the dark? Holland was also asked if the studio could be keeping cast members in the dark or purposefully misdirecting them. And he responded by saying this, quote, they do it all the time. In Endgame, Robert Downey Jr.'s funeral scene, and he's Tom Holland saying this still, in RDJ's funeral scene, for the longest time, I was under the impression that I was at a wedding. I'm 100% sure that they're still tricking me. Tom, all right. Okay, so if you replay everything that I just said, that was his quotes, he just really contradicted himself. So, hey, look, this is another one of those situations. I have no idea what to believe here. None. Absolutely, because that first statement, he made it sound really believable, by saying, "Oh, we're continuing the Spider-Man movies that we've been doing." But then he goes, it says they can't keep something that big for me, but then he says they do keep stuff that big for me because they do it all the time. So I don't know, Jeff.
Honestly, here's the deal. I wrote this lower third right down here. Tom Holland pulls a Costanza, right? I think this is all happening. I think there's a ton of people talking about a ton of stuff, right? Or maybe we all just want to believe this. But the reason I think he's pulling a Costanza is, did anybody ever see the episode where George Costanza decides to do opposite of everything he always did before, and it ends up working out in his favor? This is exactly what I think Tom Holland is doing. I think he is approaching this in an opposite way that he has before. Him and Ruffalo are not good at holding these spoilers close to the chest. I think this is what we're seeing here. Tom Holland is thinking, you know what? It's opposite day for me. I'm going to play this a different way than I have in the past and hope I don't piss off Marvel and all the people that are trying to keep these secrets from everybody. That's what I think. I don't know. What do you all think? Leave a comment below.
I could say, too, like maybe he was trying to word it in a way, because this goes back to my theory that they're just cameos, that they're not in the movie. It's just the story continuing, but it's that these players are more like that Stanley cameo where he's going to be swinging through a multiverse or something, and he's going to breeze by like old man Toby or something. Like, hey, I don't know at this point.
First off, he's not old man Toby. I mean, he's like, all right, so let's just chill out with that. I still feel like I could be a superhero if I wanted to. Anyways, all right, so let us all know what you guys think in the comments. Bujo66, I think he's full of crap. I do too. Anyways, that's what makes this all fun. All right, but moving on, guys, we cover a lot of things on this show. Most of the time we like to have fun, but we do talk about some serious subjects every once in a while concerning race, concerning other things, concerning political leanings, concerning behaviors of certain people. And this is, I don't want to take too long on this, but I think it's important that we as fans, especially of the show The Mandalorian, kind of express just our take on this. As most of you know, Gina Carano has been fired from The Mandalorian. There have been some questionable tweets, and she's, open to believe in the things that she believes as long as they're not hurtful to other people. However, this time around, she's kind of went too far. So she implied in an Instagram post, that being a Republican today is like being Jewish during the Holocaust. Now, these are the exact things that lead to insensitivity to groups of people and diminish, atrocities. It may not seem like much in this one instance, but building over time, it actually does create a mob culture that, of racists, anti-Semites, and other bigots that they capitalize on. Look at Germany in the 30s and 40s. She just watered down an atrocity like the Holocaust. And I'm not sure I don't completely believe in cancel culture, all right? But this is something that should have been addressed for many reasons. Politics have always been divisive, right? Republicans and Democrats don't get along on a lot of stuff, especially now. This day and age, it's heated more than we've ever seen before. I see it coming from both sides. There's extremists on both sides, but comparing this to the Holocaust and coming off as a victim, completely wrong. And I think Disney did the right thing. Chris?
Yeah, look, this really goes beyond politics. It really goes back to how we act as human beings in holding ourselves accountable to decency. Because look, she had some tweets last year that got notoriety, and you can agree with them or not. I probably disagree with some of the stuff she said, and I thought it didn't cross the line, where I do think this did. Because like you says, it minimizes some of the most horrible things that have existed in human history. And that's not okay. Like I said, regardless of politics. But this is what I like. We bring this up because obviously it's Mandalorian. It's related to everything that we talk about. And this is where I don't want the fan base to be divided on this. And I agree with you too, Jeff, that, that term cancel culture, although I think the term is way too loosely used, I don't agree with just canceling people out because you disagree with their opinions. That's not okay. But here's the thing that I want everyone to understand is that it's not about politics. It's about business. It's about contractual agreements from employee to employer. All right. If I was working at Starbucks or Target or whatnot, and I made a statement like this, I represent that company and I would have lost my job. Or if it was vice versa, if somebody said, oh, being a Democrat these days is like being this, and it was divisive against some other type of people. Whatever it's the case, you got to remember that when you sign a contract for an employer, you represent them. Now, for all of us, it's easy to walk out of Starbucks to take our apron off and go home and have the freedom to have these opinions more in private. But I guarantee you the contractual agreements that actors and actresses sign for Hollywood states that you represent our brand even when the cameras aren't rolling. I guarantee you she was fired because she signed a contract to represent the brand, and what she did and what she stated does not represent the brand. Therefore, we have to accept it and move on. Let's not get hung up on the politics of it and just, move on. It's just, we got to move on. And let's not allow this situation to just become this divisive narrative that we all get stuck on. Let's not go there.
All right. So we just wanted to put it out there, say what we thought about it, and move on because there's some good news coming out here. Good news, right? So moving on to some good news. And that is, Chris, this one's your story. What do you got?
All right. Yes. Very good news. All right.
By the way, there was no perfect segue for that. So we're just moving right along.
Okay. How do we get back? Let's get back on track. Look, I'm excited for watching WandaVision for one, getting this taste of where this is going to the horror genre of the MCU, and who better than to lead that genre than Blade. And we have some awesome announcements pertaining to the new Blade film. And the first announcement is that the film has landed its writer, the writer of Watchmen, Stacey Osei Kuffour, an award-winning playwright and screenwriter who has done work on multiple genres, including gore and comedy, of course, more notably for her critically acclaimed HBO show, Watchmen. Marvel has stated that Mahershala Ali was directly involved in the decision to bring her on, which is awesome. He's such a creative genius in his own right in many ways. And one thing that I really like that's been made public by Marvel is that it was always their goal to hire a Black writer. Now, Osei Kuffour will also be the first Black woman to write a Marvel film. So I think that's really awesome. You get proper representation behind this film, and I think that's absolutely great. Now, on top of the news of bringing a writer on board, we get a name. Some of you may have already saw this online, but we're going to announce it here, and it is Blade the Vampire Slayer. I dig it. You get away from just, calling it Blade. We've been there, we've done it. I think it allows the Wesley Snipes trilogy to still stand on its own legs and be its own thing. And this just kind of rebrands it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Jeff.
The name, I don't like it, but
no.
I mean, can they separate? I mean, why did they have to do this? Why? It rings a Buffy. I don't understand why.
I was just gonna say, does it remind? Okay.
Yeah. Why would you do that? You're the MCU. You've created some really cool stuff. Like, come up with a better name than that. I'm a little disappointed, to be honest with you.
Okay, but if Buffy the Vampire Slayer didn't exist, would it change your perception of it?
I can't. I don't live in that world. I don't live in that part of the multiverse, to be honest with you. So I can't say for sure. But I don't like it.
Yeah.
The universe, I don't like it. Well, I won't. I mean, I'm still going to go see this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love the casting.
I get you.
The woman who was hired, and I'm sorry, I got to look her name up. Stacey Osei Kuffour. She seems well-rounded, doing comedy stuff as well.
Yeah.
And The Watchmen was excellent, obviously. But I'll see it, but I think the name sucks. Sorry.
Yeah, I hear you. I personally can separate. I was never really a Buffy fan, so it doesn't really trigger my brain to go there. But I really like, though, that it separates itself from the original Blade films, though. But I get your point. You know, if you really have that Buffy in your head while you're saying this, I totally get it. So, but how about this?
I think brings it up. Would Hunter be better? And I'm like, yeah, I think that would be better. Yeah. But I'm sure that was used too. So whatever. Anyways.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think we may be able to both agree on this, though, pertaining more to the Blade films, guys. Jared Leto wants a Morbius Blade crossover. What? All right, so get this. So he actually brought this to attention in an interview with Marvel and Sony's new deal. It's already established that Morbius will exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least to the extent of, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Meaning we don't know if the characters will cross over, if it'll be a multiverse or anything like that, but we know that they will exist to some capacity and will overlap. So Leto expresses his excitement for even more crossovers. And when he was asked about a possible team up with Blade, he says, quote, "That is a good question. And I could see that happening in the future. I could see that happening. Yeah." It's almost like he's singing it. I could see that happening. Yeah. Like,
was it 5 Degrees to Mars or whatever? I can't even remember his band's name. Yeah, I'm sure he'll write a song about that. I'm cool with that. I think that'd be fantastic.
Morbius and Blade has to happen.
They left little trails of it being. I mean, we all talked about it. We think that Morbius is going to be in the MCU based off of what we've seen in the trailer, especially with Michael Keaton, playing the Vulture again. I'm psyched. I hope it happens. It makes perfect sense. And teaming those two characters up, probably with more Midnight Suns type vibe, I think would be absolutely fantastic. But guess what, Chris? That's not the only Jared Leto news that we have. That's right. We had a reveal this week. We had a reveal of Jared Leto's Joker in Justice League. It looks pretty good in my opinion. Granted, it's very artistic and black and white. And I gotta say, I'm always on top of the trailers. I have not seen the new Justice League trailer, and that is my fault. I've been very busy this week, so please don't hold it against me. But that being said, Zack Snyder shared some photos of what the Joker is going to look like in his version of the Justice League. That's right. He also had a few other words to say while talking to Vanity Fair. He said he had always planned on doing pickup shots with Jared Leto for a scene where the Batman confronts the Joker. The cool thing about the scene is that it's Joker talking directly to Batman about Batman, Snyder explained. It's Joker analyzing Batman about who he is and what he is. That's the thing. I also felt like fans deserved this from the DC universe. That is to say, the Jared Leto Joker and the Ben Affleck Batman, they never really got together. It seemed uncool to me that we would make it all the way through this incarnation of Batman and the Joker without them coming together. I mean, that's an absolute crime, in my opinion, Chris. Like, he also shared another image here. I don't like that setup right there. He also set up another image. It's just, I don't know. He looks like he works at a meat chopping shop or something.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of vibe, but I'm cool with it. I'm psyched to see what this is going to look like. A lot of people are saying also that this is reminiscent of Grant Morrison's Clown at Midnight look from Batman 663. He's got cuts and scars and no tattoos. So, anyways, again, I think this is cool. What do you think, Chris?
I said this last week when we got that first sneak peek. I believe that was last week. I just was not a fan of the wannabe coked out pimp. That was the Joker that we saw in Suicide Squad, at least in my humble opinion. I always said, it wasn't the actor. It was how the character was written. So again, I'll say this like I've been saying it for the last couple of months now with this Snyder League cut. Snyder League. Hey, Snyder League cut. Nice. I kind of like that, right?
Not bad.
The Snyder League. With the Snyder cut, I've had my issues with Snyder in his tonality and in if he was the right person to lead this DCEU. But I'm looking for him to at least right the ship to some extent here. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do with this character as well. Because like I said, I think at this point in time, anything for me would be better than what we saw in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, well, honestly, I thought it was a fresh take in Suicide Squad. I thought the movie was terrible, but I thought it was an interesting take that I wasn't mad at. That was the least of the problems for Suicide Squad. So anyways, we should all be excited because in about a month, we're going to have Zack Snyder's Justice League. So again, The floodgates are opening with all this amazing content, but that ends the news at 20 minutes on the dot. Well, not quite, but pretty good. Now, this is the time we usually bring in our guest co-host, and we have a very special one this week. They're all special. Everybody's special. This one is very special as well. Dinesh Shamdasani, you may know him from Valiant, but he is also launching a company called Bad Idea. It's a new company full of fresh new ideas of comic books that I'm personally super excited about, but I'm also very excited to have Dinesh on the show. Dinesh, thank you so much for joining us.
That was awesome. I just learned a bunch. I hadn't seen some of those images.
Oh yeah, what, the Joker images?
I get all my news from you guys.
Honestly, everybody comes here each and every week. Actually, Wolf Blitzer is usually in the chat as well, trying to accumulate all kinds of news as well. He could bring to his show. But we appreciate you being here. We're glad that we kind of enlightened your day with that news. So that being said, I want you to let you know you are our guest co-host. This is your show too now after the news. So we're going to take it and run with it, right?
Yes. That's it, guys. Great show. See you next week.
Everybody, thank you for joining us.
I can do whatever I want. Cool.
No, in all seriousness, we're super excited to have you here. Full disclosure, I was a huge Valiant fan back in the early 90s. It came out of nowhere for me, I guess, 2010, 2011, where you and a partner brought Valiant back from the ashes, literally from the ashes, because Acclaim just ran it into the ground in the 90s. Great characters. You guys ran a tight ship and just amazing creators, amazing content, starting off with EXO, bringing in Shadow Man and Ninjak, all the rest of the characters. So much fun, and I just want to applaud you for Valiant, and I'm super psyched to have you here for that reason. But I also just want to talk more about Bad Idea and what you have going on there, because there's a lot of people that are interested in your company, right? There's a lot of excitement about this because you have amazing talent attached to everything that Bad Idea is. So that being said, we're going to get into the interview for Bad Idea. How's that sound, everybody?
Let's do it.
Let's just do it. All right. I need to scroll down to my questions because I'm not too organized. So that's why I was kind of fleshing it out. I was buying time right there is what I was doing. But as I said, Bad Idea.
Until you told us.
What's that?
Until you told us it was very smooth.
Yeah. You ruined it for yourself there.
I have a way to do it.
You got to train them up, man. You got to train them up, Chris. What's going on?
Anyway, so Bad Idea, you guys have a collection of, talented group of creators and comic industry vets. How did Bad Idea start? How did this all get going?
Honestly, this is a tough question because everyone has a different answer, and that's kind of how we built it to be. I can tell you my version of it. I was at Valiant with a bunch of people that I really, really enjoyed working with, and we had success. And leaving was not entirely my choice, although it ended up being quite a good thing for me. And I just missed working with my friends, and I missed working in comics. I missed making comic books. So I was just looking for an excuse to figure out how to get back in. And we were very lucky at Valiant. We built these books. We didn't have to build the house. That's the thing. The characters existed, the structure of the universe existed. We get to expand that. Eventually we got to add new characters to it. We were very lucky people liked what we did, but we never really checked that one box. I felt like we checked a lot of boxes, but creating something from scratch, whole cloth, felt like a challenge. And then from there, it was like, well, how else can we challenge ourselves? How about every stupid idea we can think of? No diamond, self-distributing, no variants, no digital, no trades. Hence the name of the company. It's just a bunch of bad ideas.
And by the way, that's their tag down below at Bad Idea Hello. Be sure to follow them. And by the way, Macedonian Comics and music, everything about the title sounds like a great idea. So, as you just alluded to, you guys are approaching this in a bit of an unconventional way in terms of the industry. Yeah. Direct distribution. That's an insane thought, but not. It shouldn't really be, right? But what for you? Like, what is the most important thing to you that's unconventional to build this company?
I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to examine everything that has been taken for granted. Because we're uniquely qualified, we're lucky enough to have had the experience of working in publishing at a high level for a decade, and so we got to see what all the levers do. Essentially, we got to push all the buttons on the control panel, and we got to see what they all do. And some of them, you don't really need, we think. And we're trying to, at least for ourselves as an indie publisher, small publisher, build way that we can funnel some of those resources into the books. We're trying to ask ourselves, do we really need X? Do we really need Y? And so hopefully the one thing people take away from us, if there's one thing, is just that we're very difficult to say, I know what they're going to do next. I know what they mean. We're just always going to come up with some stupid thing because we'll get bored, or we'll have a better idea, or we'll realize the bad idea actually is a bad idea and try and fix it.
Hey, but that's the fun in starting a company like this. But
yeah,
that being said, you touched upon this, but from an outsider's perspective, it would seem you're kind of limiting yourselves in a way with these bad ideas, which could be good ideas. It's, to grow your audience or be in other shops. How have you
we're limiting our audience, but I think one of the things people struggle to understand about what we're doing is basically every publisher, including Valiant, when we were running it, is trying to be Marvel or a baby version of Marvel. That's not the only thing you can do. If you decide that you want to do something else, for instance, if you decide you just want to make really, really good comic books, you come up with a couple of decisions. You first think to yourself, well, I've got to make less, because that's how you make quality, because I've got to give myself more time. Then you think to yourself, okay, well, if I don't want to build an empire, do I need the book market? Therefore, maybe you don't really need trades. Yes, there's a whole contingent of people that trade weight, but if the books are good enough, you could probably convince the majority of them to come to the single issues. Then you'll start thinking, well, how many do I really need? Do I need everybody? Do you have to be a company that is making books that everybody likes, or can you be a company that's making books that some people really love? And so that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, that's
Dinesh, I want to jump in here. I really like that, because I'm sitting here questioning, and I come from a business background, and I understand, a niche market, and I understand sometimes what it takes to really get into a niche market where essentially it could seem like you're alienating everything else that's out there. But I also know on the flip side of that, there's the idea of trying to, get inserted into a large market that has such competition already out there, to where penetration is really hard to do. So do you feel that that's kind of a part of this formula, where you're looking at the fact that, like you just said, maybe it speaks to what you just said, we could utilize all these variables and get a good amount of people to like it, but let's take all of our resources, streamline it to one area, and see if we get enough people to love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's really, we can't fight Marvel and DC. That's the mistake that a lot of publishers, I think, make. And at Valiant, because we didn't build the house, the best thing that we had at Valiant was we had Valiant, right? We had these amazing characters people loved. The worst thing that we had at Valiant was we had Valiant. It set a path for us. We had to try and become a big 2, big 3 publisher, because that's what Valiant was built to do. Here, we don't have to give ourselves that burden. And so we can build ourselves to be niche in the way that, like, Mondo is niche in the poster world, or Pixar, or actually, frankly, the Marvel Cinematic Universe it is niche. They don't produce more than 2 movies a year. They've become this monster, and I guess that's the biggest version of what bad idea could be. I don't think that'll be it. The other thing that we try to do is be honest with ourselves. At Valiant, try as we might, for a decade, producing books that were the best reviewed books in the business, there were just certain comic book fans, rabid comic book fans, that were never going to come along. Bloodshot was never going to be for them. It didn't matter that we put Jeff Lemire on the book, or Louis LaRosa on the interior art, or we put a metal cover on, or we got the best reviews. They just loved Iron Man. They didn't care about anything else. And so here we're just trying to say to ourselves, why are we putting the burden on ourselves to convince these people? And why are we annoying them? And keep saying to them, no, you'll like Bloodshot. And they're like, I'm cool, man. I got my Iron Man. I got my Thor. I don't need anything else. That's kind of how we're approaching it.
That's interesting. That's definitely interesting. And another thing that you've done to kind of initially sneak into the market is the hero trade that created a ton of buzz. Can you tell us like where that idea came from and how you literally
sure
stuck it in there?
So we're only in select stores, and that actually is exactly what we were just talking about. There are stores at Valiant. I would say about 300 stores sold 80% of the Valiant books. And that's about the same 300 stores that sell 80%, in my opinion, of Dark Horse, of Image, basically anyone that isn't Marvel and DC. So we said to ourselves, let's not worry about the other stores, the other 1,000+ stores. Let's just worry about these stores. Let's have them be our partners. So we put together a company that has select stores, and we said to people, if you want to be partners, just let us know. We anticipated about 25 stores would be crazy enough to come on board. The nice thing about Bad Ideas, we keep having these champagne problems. Immediately we were oversubscribed. We up to 50 to 100. At launch now, we're going to be at 300 locations. So at the time of the Hero Trade, we were at 154 stores. We had to push the launch because of COVID. And we were lucky we hadn't launched it. If we'd launched it, I think we'd probably be out of business right now. But we were a month away, so we were able to push. We pushed to this March, this next month, which is when we're going to launch now. We knew the stores are hurting, though. And so actually a retailer, store owner, Mark Nathan from Cards, Comics, and Collectibles, or it might be Collectibles, Comics, and Cards. I can never, or maybe it's, I can never, it's some combination of those.
Right.
He's been in business for 30 years, super, super smart guy. He's always had great advice for publishers. He said to us, hey, people kind of anticipate your books. If you were to take one of those stories you had and do an ash can and send it to retailers, we could sell and we could make some money, maybe $30, $40. We had a short story because every bad idea book, another bad idea, every bad idea book is essentially oversized. So we're not really adhering to the 22 page count per issue, which is kind of letting our imaginations run wild. So Tankers, for instance, our second launch is 32 pages each issue at a minimum. And then every bad idea book we do has 8 pages of backups, like little backups, completely different stories, experimental things. And we built one that we really loved called The Hero Trade. Matt Kent wrote it, David Lapham drew it. We thought, why don't we just print this thing? Then we had a really devious idea, which is stores, like publishers, get sent amateur books all the time. They look like they're printed at Kinko's. They're mostly not very good, but occasionally you find something in there. And so we went to our printer and said, can you do uncoded, like kind of garbage stock? And can we make this look like it was printed at like a backyard Kinko's? And we sent it to one per store with a letter. The letter said, love your store, which technically is true. This is our first book, also technically true. We'd love if you could sell it. And if you want more, just email theherotrade@gmail.com, $3 a piece. But we did not tell them it came from Bad Idea. We did not tell them Matt Kint or David Lapham. We waited 3 weeks for the order deadline to pass, and then we announced on Twitter that this is a Bad Idea book. And it really caught us by surprise. At first, people didn't believe us. They said, the first Bad Idea book's out in stores. What are you talking about? And we said, yeah, it's called The Hero Trade. People said, what are you talking about? We said, here's a picture. And fans still said, what are you talking about? And the store owner go, oh, these a-holes. Can I swear? I don't know if I can swear.
You can swear. You can definitely
Yeah,
swear.
all right. Sorry about it. These a-holes, what have they done? And they started looking for the books. Where's this book? Did I throw it out? Did I put it in the dollar bin? And it was just a fervor. I had a store call me and tell me he had to turn the phone off. He's getting so many calls. We had fights break out in stores, people lining up during COVID. It was bad. And this book now is like this back issue monster.
The fair market value is insane.
Yeah, it's like 4 figures if you can find a copy.
I love how that all just ended up with you just saying it's bad. And it's just, you really got something working here. Hey, Jeff, does this go to this Costanza effect here too? Because
you're absolutely right. I mean, if you think about it, you're doing kind of everything opposite of what you did at Valiant in a way. So I kudos to you. That's a good call out, Chris. And by the way, if you guys have any questions for Dinesh, please put them in the comments, because we'll give you an opportunity to talk to him about Bad Idea, Valiant, Bloodshot the movie. He was the producer on Bloodshot the movie. But continuing on with Bad Idea, as you said, you made it very clear there's not going to be any variants to your books. There won't be, it won't be available on digital, trade paperback. There'll be only 2 types of prints, first and not first. You kind of touched upon this earlier too, but I kind of want to clarify. What have you seen in the market that steered you towards these decisions?
I have no one to blame but us. When we built Divinity, we built this book at Valiant called Divinity, and Matt Kint wrote it as well. Trevor Hesline drew it, and it became this kind of it was a brand new character, our first brand new character in its own book. It became a bit of a monster, became a bit of a behemoth, and we kept finding that we were running out of copies. So we would go to a second print, went to a third print, went to a fourth print, and we started to watch people notice, people that weren't paying attention to Valiant. Oh, they went to a fourth print. This must be something good. I'll check it out. And we started to lean into that fifth print. We start to realize that, Marvel books haven't gone to fifth print. At that point, a Marvel book had not been to fifth printing, Marvel DC, in like a decade. So when we went to our fifth print, we were like, wow, this is a This is really something people are paying attention to, but it just comes down to the fact that we so mismanaged our numbers. And since then, and I think we're partly to blame, Marvel's now done it 100 times. I think this little book that took off, Boom, Image, Dark Horse, IDW, everyone's done it, to the point where these printings become variants. And that defeats the purpose of bringing readers in, finding a cheap, not back issue version of a story for readers to jump into. And without doing variants, we're very conscious of the fact that people will be looking for a collectible nature to our book. So we're trying to stamp that out everywhere we can. We realize that there's no legal reason you have to put second, third, fourth printing. We figured out that if you print the exact same book and don't mark it differently, how's anyone going to know? If we print our not first printing, which we've just done on ENIAC 1 today, or we print one 2 years from now, another batch, there's no way to tell. And so we're trying to stamp out that, okay, the fourth printing is the lowest printed version. That's the one we're going to go after. Because unavoidably, the not first printing will end up being the one with the most copies. So there won't be a raise in prices that way. And hopefully people will be able to read our stories. And even the hero trade, we're going to reprint that in ENIAC 3. Our whole thing is, if you want to read the stories, you got to do a little work to find a store that's in the network, but we're going to make it easy for you to read them.
And, going what you said, you got ENIAC right here. As you guys put out here, the first printing, not first printing, I guess there's a slight difference.
There's a color variation because we want to make sure that the store owners know which one's the first and second, because there may be, especially with the hero trade doing what it's done, there may be a version reality where the first printings become something like $5, $10 books. And the last thing we want to do is have retailers that have backed us not be able to make the money that they need to make on that first printing. But every second, third, the traditional second, third, fourth, fifth printings will all be not first printings, all that same color. There'll be nothing different inside, nothing different anywhere.
I think I speak for a lot of collectors. There is that kind of variant second printing. There's that fatigue there, and this is kind of refreshing in a way, taking it back. So I kind of like that, especially it kind of harkens to the 90s where you had a different, like, let's just say off the top of my head, New Mutants 87, where you had the gold variant.
Yeah, the gold. That's right. I hadn't thought about that. That's true. Yeah, so that's a really good point.
You're kind of taking it back in a way, and that's refreshing, going old school.
Yeah, I like that too, and I want to add too. This doesn't take away from anything that's already on the market. It simply adds. Yeah. And that's how I would see it as a collector. And I could be a collector, and I always talk about this. I think we tend to sum up collectors into boxes, but I'm a little of everything. And I'm not a big fan of collecting variants, but I love the variant market. I love that there's a market for it. I love that it's a part of the industry right now that's keeping it healthy. But as a collector, I can enjoy the variant market for what's there, and then I could see this as its own thing and enjoy both at the same time.
That's the goal. That's the goal. And look, everything in the first print will be in the not first printing. There will be a couple people and we've seen it already with the allocation of ENIAC 1, people disappointed I may not get a first printing. We haven't announced it yet, but we did put a little something in the not first printing that isn't in the first printing. So if you get a not first printing, you get everything in the first printing, and then a little something.
Is that an exclusive here? Because we'll take that.
That is an exclusive here. Yeah.
We got another exclusive. You're the second exclusive we've ever gotten. We love that. That is fantastic to hear right there. And I'm going to touch upon this because there have been a lot of people flat out irritated. I've seen in message boards about Bad Idea who are super excited about it, but feel like it's so hard they feel like they have to jump through hoops to give you money to buy their comic book, which is, in a way, it's fair. You have limited shops. You have to sign up and tell the shop that you signed up or something like that, from what I understand. So, and now there's this recent situation that's come up where, you I think you touched upon that. You sent out letters that you'll need to cut back on the ENIAC first print. A lot of shops fans are very frustrated with this decision. Shops can't deliver their customers. Customers are worried they won't get their first prints. There's going to be a lot to do for. I touched upon this. I'm sorry. I'm just reading this up. What can you say to everybody as the reason why you had to cut back? And I think you've already told us how you're alleviating any concerns by exclusively here saying that there will be a little something extra in the not first print version of ENIAC #1.
It actually is very similar to what happened in Divinity. our goal is to try and reduce speculation. When you say select stores, when you say no variants, when you say no trades, no digital, speculate, especially the hardcore speculators, their ears perk up. And so we have to do what we can to try and mitigate that. Now, they're an important piece of the industry, and we don't want to ignore them, but we don't want to feed them. We don't want to play to them. One of the things that we've done with the stores is we've said to them, if you want to sign up, actually, one of these rules is whatever your orders on issue 1 are, you have to match that 2, 3, and 4, or however many issues there are. So you're really ordering everything at once. Our goal there is to try and get them not to up their orders for everything, but actually take a look at what they think they'll sell in issue 4, say it's a 4-issue series like ENIAC, and then reduce their orders on 1, because we're going to keep the not first prints perennial. We're going to keep them in print, and we want people to be focused on reading and not collecting. So what happened with ENIAC 1 is, because we self-distribute, because we're not through Diamond, because we take our own orders, we have our own order site, we can't do what Diamond does over 2 days. We do what anyone else does. It takes often a week, if not longer, to ship books. So we don't have the benefit of being able to print after we get our orders. This is part of the downside of doing what we're doing as an independent publisher. We took our very, very, very best guess of readers and then built the highest projection we thought was feasible for a new company without Wolverine and Batman, with no known characters. And we have known creators, but it's a new publisher. The numbers that came in far, far, far exceeded that in terms of orders. I suspect part of it is the incredible interest in hero trade. What we were able to do is we had to cut the first print orders. We had to allocate by 50%, which is a massive allocation. I can't think of one that's ever happened to be this big. Even the last Ronin that recently came out, that was a bit of an equal debacle. I think that was a 29% allocation. So we're at 50%. But we were able to get not first printings at the same time. The reason we're able to do that is when people see the books, I think they'll understand. Again, as a new publisher, hugely important to get people to buy the books, because if they read them, I think they'll fall in love with them. The best thing you can do for anyone that's been in sales is get someone to touch the product. If they touch it, they're almost certainly going to buy it. And so we built what'll look, I think, like the best covers in the business. We've got, for printer terminology here, 12-point double laminate matte cardstock with spot gloss cover, UV spot gloss covers, which means, I'll translate what that means. If you take a look at a Marvel trade paperback, that thick cover, we're one step above that. So Marvel doesn't even use this cardstock. It's that strong. On top of that, we laminate it. So if you were to rip the cover, you couldn't, because there's a thin layer of film on top of it. It gives it like a really, really expensive, luxurious feel. On top of that, we're matting both sides, so it'll have a really nice a look for the blacks. And then we're doing a spot gloss, so there'll be little areas that will really pop. That takes about 2 weeks. The drying is especially important. The laminate, when you put that film on, it has to dry for a week. That eats up a lot of production time. Now, we printed the covers 2 weeks early than the guts. So we've got our first print covers and our not first print covers. They're done. When we ran into this allocation problem, we couldn't print more first print covers with enough time, but we had our not first print covers. And we could easily print more guts, I should explain what those are. Guts are the interiors. So we can print more interiors. They just print on a regular 70-pound super white paper. Those are quicker to print. So we're able to print those, bind them, and get enough copies so that every store will be able to fulfill their orders with either first or not first prints. We've also been able to call almost every store, and we've managed to be able to get almost every store enough first print copies so that every pre-order will get a first print copy. So we've taken care of them on those two fronts. But yeah, it is a little bit of a steep learning curve for us. We've put procedures in place now to make sure that doesn't happen, or try to make sure that doesn't happen again anyway.
That's interesting. This is a question here that again, about what is happening. How does the shop justify buying the same amount of number one for issue number 2 if they see their numbers drop on pre-orders? Isn't this forcing their hand and potentially ordering more copies they can't sell?
That's the way that is the stores have been looking at it, that frankly is a little bit concerning, and why there is a silver lining to the allocation, because the orders came in much higher than frankly I think there are readers, much higher than I think they're readers. Our hope is that stores look at, because it's a pretty standard attrition rate. Whatever happens to number 1, let's just say round numbers, 70% of the readers are there for 2, 50% of the readers are there from 1 for 3, and then usually pretty stable from 4 onwards, but let's say it's 40%. What we'd like them to do is look at that number they think is number 1, look at number 4 and say we're going to sell 40%, and then order that number 4 number across the board. And if they're missing here, reorder not first printings, because we'll have those in print and we can get those to you quickly. So we'd like them to actually reduce their orders. The last thing we want, what kills a new company is books left on shelves. We need, as crazy as it sounds, we need every store to be sold out of ENIAC 1. If they're not sold out, they're going to look at that shelf. They're going to order less of Tankers. They're going to order less of the lot. And in a year, they're not going to be ordering anything. It's very much what happens in the sneaker culture world or designer toys or Mondo. We unfortunately need that to build slowly because we don't have Batman or Wolverine to help us.
I want to add here. I'm really taking this all in, and the way you broke that down, and I'm hearing you talk about the focus of limiting, just this overdrive of speculation, increasing the desire for readers to get involved. But I'm looking at the way that this is working out, and I think that this is a very balanced approach that could essentially quench the needs of readers and those who still want to find the collectability within the books. I mean, that kind of,
that's what we're trying. Yeah.
Back end to front approach really does that. And I think it does it in a way where it doesn't convolute the process. It's very easy because one thing I hear so often is, and I usually say it's the people that missed out on the FOMO, and they act like they don't care about values of books. They act like they don't speculate, but we know they do. But then they say this: they say, "I just wanted the book to read. Can I get it for a cheap price now?" And they're mad that a book that just came out last week is now selling for $25.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think this kind of alleviates anybody to be able to kind of have that defense, because you almost know what you're going to be able to get. You have a better possibility of being able to get what you want to get, regardless if you're a reader or regardless if you want to buy a copy or maybe an extra copy and say, I know that not first print is going to be there to quench the supply of all the readers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold on to an issue of the first print and still be confident that there is at least potential that there can be value and collectability in it.
100%. And frankly, I think the black cover, the not first printing, looks a little better. So I think there's value there, or at least there's benefit there. But what we're running into, and it's interesting because we're trying to keep it very simple, but it is new, right? And so no matter how simple you keep it, if it's new, it's new. You got to learn something new. But there's not a lot of first, second, third, fourth, fifth printings. There's not a lot of 1 in 50 variant, ratio variant, store exclusives. There's none of that. It's just, here's the first print, here's the not first print. That's it for every single book. It's very simple. But what we're seeing is, and when we announce to the stores, we're going to add this rule where whatever you order on number 1, you got to order for the rest of the series, no matter how many issues it is. They all said this in one-on-one conversations. Man, people are really going to cut their orders. But not me, because they're all going to cut their orders. So I'm going to be the one with the books for when it's sold out. They're going to call me and want to self-distribute. It's like, no, you should cut. And then they all say this, and then all the orders go up. So it is the Constanza thing. We're trying to say, don't do this. And we're just actually encouraging them to do the thing that at Valiant would have been great. I wish I'd done this at Valiant. I would have done it at Valiant, where I wanted to sell more books. Here I'm trying to keep it slow and steady.
Slow and steady sounds like the reasonable approach. Now, you do have another kind of, a lot of people are kind of like mad about these rules, right? These rules that you put in place. And another one is 1 copy per customer, right? Now that's easy to kind of do online. How do you expect stores to handle that? I mean, like, how do you expect stores to handle something like that? Because you know the people that walk into a store,
sure, absolutely,
5 copies of 1 issue, screw everybody else behind me, I don't care, and boom, they're out the door. So how do you kind of, and not, you can't enforce it, but how do you handle that?
Yeah, well, we can enforce it. There's no bulletproof way to make sure every single copy that's sold is 1 per customer. What we can do, and what we hope to do, stores will have different rules. If you come today and buy a copy, and you come tomorrow and there's still left, can you buy another copy? Some stores say yes. That if you did the drive, you took a second day, okay, we're cool with that. If you come in and you bring your brother and you get a copy each, and you're both readers and the store owner knows you and he's okay to sell you 2 copies, but actually your brother's just going to give it to you, you know what, we can't really police that. But what we're going to police is if someone tweets a receipt and some dude's got 5 copies and it was one guy buying them, that store's out of the program.
Wow.
And that's something that we've told them, any of the rules. They can't sell the books for more than cover price for 30 days. They've got to order consistently across the board. We haven't revealed all the rules because it's not really fair. Some of the rules are, you know, for the retailers to talk about, but these 3 we've talked about because they're very, I think, beneficial to readers, at least.
I have to bring.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just gonna, in kind of shifting gears here a little bit because I'm just, I really want to bring up the digital and the trade decisions here, because, you know, well, first off, you have these doomsdayers that think that, oh, floppy paper comics are going away. I personally don't feel that's going to happen anytime soon. Obviously, there's a market for digital these days. And I know that the trade paperback graphic novel market is growing. So how do you now bringing in, you know, there's a focus on readers here, but when we live in an age where there's a lot of even like new readers or young readers coming in and simply just going the digital route or going the, you know, graphic novel route, how do you feel that you can pull those customers in? Because I think from everything we've talked about so far, I think there is an amazing positive perception, and I'm speaking as a collector, to this, everything that you brought up about the single floppy issue and how you guys are doing that. So I think that really can attract a lot of these collectors, whether they've been in the hobby for a year, 20 or 30 years, but maybe they know what they want and they know how to get it, and this is gonna really speak to them. What about those hobbyists that are coming into the hobby saying, oh, well, I don't care about buying single issues. I'm all good with reading the graphic novel. I'm all good with downloading the Marvel Unlimiteds or the Comixologies and reading it digital. Do you want to bring those type of consumers into the market as well?
That's an interesting way to phrase that question. It's going to get me in trouble. Of course I care that those readers come. I just don't care enough. And that's where I get in trouble, because, and I'll tell you why, because we've tried to be very strategic about this and methodological. There's 2 sides. Let's talk about digital first. There's 2 sides to this coin. Side 1, there is an approach of bad idea that we want to be very disciplined about keeping, and that is physical comic books in comic book stores. Like you, we believe that monthly comics, physical floppies, will exist. It's the only ink on paper business in the world that it's growing. Comic stores are an incredible, maybe my favorite thing about comics is comic book stores. And there's a throwback idea of anticipation, having to drive somewhere and not being able to find it, a little bit of the treasure hunt. Where am I going to get a copy? Finally being able to get that copy, having to go home, read it. It's taken you weeks to find this copy. That's a whole half of the experience that is disappearing. And I don't want to sound like an old fogey, because I think there's a modernization to that experience, disappearing because of digital, right? You can get anything you want. Any movie, for instance, is available to you like that. There's no version of, oh man, this Beastmaster, I love Beastmaster. You got to watch Beastmaster. I can't find it anywhere. I got to find an old tape, and I got to find an old tape player, and I got to watch the VHS. There's no version of that in comics anymore. So we're trying a little bit to bring that back. The other part about digital, the other side of the coin, is this. At Valiant, we found digital not as big as you'd think. And the majority of digital readers, samplers. So what they do is they wake up in the morning, they pull out their iPad, they buy the issue, they go, this is pretty good. They drive to the store, they buy it again physically. They don't buy next issues digitally, they just move to physical copies. If they don't like the book, they've bought 1 issue digitally, they haven't had to drive to the store, they were okay. Digital is only 5% of sales. I didn't say that. I don't want to get in trouble with anyone that runs a digital company. It is not far off. So it's not expensive to build digital, but it's also not worth the time. I'd rather spend that time for myself, for my team, reading the scripts, giving notes, looking at the art, building the marketing plans, talking one-on-one with our select retailers. Okay, let's talk trades. Trades are great. Trades are a very, very big market, especially the mass market. There is no version of bad idea being in the mass market because we don't have the size or the awareness for 5 to 10 years. So not going to chase that. That's a waste of money. The comic book stores, physical copies in comic book stores, yes, that's a potentially really viable revenue for us in a viable marketplace, viable readership. The reason that we've ultimately decided not to go that route is because unlike single issues, I'm just reading the comments.
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop distracting you.
No, do it. I love it. Unlike, it's also very fancy. You guys are very fancy here. It's like a top-notch show. It's great. It looks great.
Well, it's basically StreamYard. Don't give us too much credit. Appreciate it, though. We appreciate it.
Take the compliment. So the reason we're not going there is for one very simple reason: inventory cost. And this is a little businessy, but inventory cost is very, very hard to keep on the books. Even a company like Valiant publishing 7 to 10 books a month, in a matter of 2-3 years, I was sitting on 7 figures of inventory costs. And what I mean by that is this: when you sell single issues to retail stores, to comic book stores, you sell it on a non-returnable basis, meaning whatever they buy, they have to keep. When you sell trades, they can be returned. Your returns 30, 40%, sometimes more, which means that books come back to you. They don't always come back to you in a way that you can resell, but if they do, you've got to warehouse them. Also, you often get your numbers in publishing before you have to print. So normally, we don't really have that here. We're trying to figure out how to do that with the self-distribution. But at Valiant, for instance, I would know how many copies are ordered, and I could print that many. I don't have to warehouse that many. With trades, you're printing a big bunch, and then you're probably getting this many orders. And then over time, you're selling a lot, but you're warehousing this for years. I remember looking at the books thinking, I've got millions of dollars here sitting in trade paperbacks and hardcovers of books, and they're selling every month. They're trickling out. I could take that money and I could build better books, bigger creators, better artists. I could hire more staff. The books would be better. So what we're trying to do here is take that money and say, we're sorry to the trade waiters. We hope we're good enough that you make the jump to the Rubicon. And just yesterday, I did an interview with someone on a show that only talks about trades. I didn't know this before I went on there. And he was like, by the way, we only talk about trades, but all of our viewers are talking about bad idea. And you've got a lot of them for the first time in a long time going to single issues, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I have to bring up, Jeff, and this is my final thing I'll say. I'll let you come in here. I love hearing this because, I really went into this interview today with such a very balanced approach because I'm so intrigued by what you guys are doing. But there's always two sides of the coin to look at things. And I think the way that you're explaining all this is so right down the middle. And I think what you guys are doing, I think that the vision is there. But it's funny because I as you're talking, I think of Chipotle. And I know it has nothing to do with comic books, but Chipotle, arguably, who, for those that want a little bit of history lesson about Chipotle, they got big in the early 90s and basically mimicked a taqueria. You go into a taqueria, you get a burrito, you can get tacos, and it was very simple. When you have, like McDonald's or Taco Bell's, where you got, the big menu, the big buck menu and the dollar menu and all these different crazy things. And you go into Chipotle and you got 4 things that you can order.
Yeah.
And that's it. And look, I don't eat out much, but I love Chipotle. I eat Chipotle like once a week. And it doesn't matter that there's only 4 things that you can eat. I never get tired of it. So you have McDonald's and Taco Bell limiting their orders. Taco Bell cut out my favorite double-decker taco. I'm so mad. Never eating there again.
Too, guys, the Mexican pizza.
The Mexican pizza. I mean, what are they doing? But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They're understanding that it's not always cost effective to say, look, we do everything, and that means we're going to be successful. No. Like you said, I think you said it a couple times, maybe not in these exact words, but you're focused on doing that one thing that you guys don't only do good, but you're going to do great.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's better than what everyone else is doing.
That's the plan. That's the plan. And look, it's fascinating you say Chipotle, because Adam Freeman, our head of sales, talks about Chipotle and that exact thing all the time. Because if you can limit the menu, you can then take the money you're spending all the stuff that isn't selling as well and get better ingredients, and then the taste is better and people don't get bored because it's good. But I should also mention the other thing about Bad Idea that's interesting is you're hearing all this stuff from me, but it really is the team. And it's a small team, and it's very much a team that came from Valiant. This is right now the executive staff at Bad Idea. It's myself, it's my co-CEO and co-CCO, Warren Simons, head of sales, just talked about, Adam Freeman, director of marketing, Josh Johns, publisher, Hunter Goranson, and our managing editor, Carl Bowles, and that's it. It's a 6-person team. And at Valiant, we had 50 plus people. But here, we don't have quite as much manpower, so we're having to work harder. But we're finding us to be a little bit like a speedboat. We're able to make decisions and turn very, very quickly. And I think that's where some of this stuff is possible for us, where it's a little difficult for other publishers to see it or try it.
A lot of people to answer to and a lot of cooks in the
A lot
kitchen.
of internal politics, a lot of communication. It's just slower.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I actually have one more question, Chris. You may have another, but and then we have a really good question by the bearded one in the comments that I'm going to get to in a hot second. But in terms of distribution, my personal experience in talking to comic book shop owners during this pandemic, how DC decided to or partner up and have another distribution arm. They completely went away from Diamond. It kind of made things challenging for comic book shop owners having to go to 2 separate entities to bring in those types of books. They also, I guess they accrued more shipping costs because of that. I'm not sure how many other companies are doing what you're doing, if at all, but what are you doing to make things easy for comic book shop owners, knowing that they'll have to go to another source, to distribute, to get your comic books? How are you making it easier for them?
It's a great question. So let me talk about Adam again. Adam Freeman is our head of sales. Now, he was a retailer himself. He owned a store, Brave New World Comics, in Santa Clara, California. He won the Eisner for Best Retailer, which is an Eisner they don't give out every year, only when it's deserved. So he knows that world very, very, very well. And he's been on us to make sure that we're honest about exactly that. And one of the things that is concerning to us is, are we worth this extra time? The stores get this big book previews. They've got to know all these different SKUs. They've got to read all the comics that come in. They've got to order 4 months in advance. Why are we worth the time? And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to take a little bit of like the Jerry Maguire approach. If we have less stores, we can talk to all the stores. And so Adam is literally texting, emailing. I mean, he works like 18-hour days, and he's in touch with every single store. He could recite for you right now every store's order on ENIAC #1. We're going to see how long this goes before he has a scanner-style brain melt. But we're trying to give a little bit more of that boutique custom approach in terms of the stores. We took the allocation very much to heart. We love Diamond. Chris Powell and Tim Lanahan at Diamond are just friends of everyone in the company, actually, especially Adam and Hunter. And they've been really helpful, frankly, in building our plan. It's not a divisive relationship. They gave us a couple of suggestions when we first told them that have been really helpful. And we're trying to figure out how to fulfill the books in a way that reduces that kind of problem. We have some solutions now that we haven't 100% locked in yet. We will by the time ENIAC 1 needs to get out shipping next week. But we're going to try and make it very, very easy for the stores, because we're going to make it so that they don't have to do what DC did. They don't have to do what they have to do with DC, which is deal with 2 days worth of unpacking, two boxes worth of unpacking. We're going to try and make it so that they can do our books in the way they would have had we gone through Diamond. If that makes sense, without giving away too much.
No, it does make sense. It does. It's just, again, the frustration was with comic book shop. Not, there's no consistencies, obviously, with when you're launching something like DC did. There's going to be some snafus, right? There's going to be some issues that you have. So obviously, combine that with the pandemic, less people coming into a store, if at all. There were many frustrations that were there. Again, I hope that it's easy click and they get your books kind of a situation for that. You know what I mean?
The terms are, without getting too much in the weeds, all the terms are much more beneficial. So everything that we've talked about so far are changes that the stores and customers have to deal with. Things we haven't talked about, we've talked about a little bit on the reader side, because there's more pages, there's better stories, there's backup stories, there's better paper, etc. Same for the stores. Their net terms are better, the shipping terms are better. They'll come in with more time. We'll personalize the ordering so they don't have to fill out a form, and that's the only way they can order. They can text us, WhatsApp us, slip into our DMs. They can Facebook message us. They can email us. They can do whatever they need to order, whatever's customized for them. They can pay in whatever way they want to pay. So we're trying to make all that super easy, because we can't make everything a pain in the ass. And so far it's gone great. So far, I mean, they've ordered too many, so maybe we should make it a little bit more difficult.
Nah, I think you're doing a good job, distinguishing yourself from other companies. But Chris, if it's okay, I'm going to go to a bearded one question because this is now we're getting to the content, the actual nitty gritty, the heart of these books. They look excellent. From what I've read, they're excellent. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm super excited for Tankers, which comes out in April.
Yeah, April.
EDX March.
Yeah.
But this is a good question from the bearded one here. He's a regular. There's nope, that's not the one. We're not talking about your rib joint there. Sorry, guys. That's my bad.
What was the rib joint called?
Hold on. All right, we'll hit the rib joint. There's a famous rib joint in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You either order. He's talking about the whole.
I need the name. I want to get those ribs.
You can either order whole, half, rack ribs, and you only have 2 or 3 choices of size packed out all the time, kind of like the Chipotle.
Simplicity is important.
I'm getting hungry.
Okay, here we go. The bearded one. I really got behind Valiant when Dinesh was there. When he left, I was crushed. Is this company he's running producing a shared universe? Is this more separate creator-owned like Image?
Let me first apologize. Dude, I am sorry, man. I feel it was my job to protect that thing and keep it running at that level. And I don't look at Valiant's success. Objectively, it is success. It produced books for a long time. It survived longer than anyone thought it would. Best reviewed publisher, huge acquisition, lots of money changing hands. I mean, I don't think those characters, as much as I love them, can survive many more years of what's happening to them right now. And that was always my goal, to make them like Marvel. Publish 10 years of bad Marvel books. People still love those characters. It survives. In terms of a shared universe, that is a question I can get in trouble answering. Everyone that works at Bad Idea has worked in a shared universe. We're trying real hard not to build a shared universe, but I don't know that we can help ourselves. Certainly, we are keeping the doors open. But I don't want to spoil any surprises because as much like Hero Trade, we've lied about a lot of things. I mean, some of the stuff you've seen for ENIAC, one of the things, my favorite things about what's going to happen the next month is we've been marketing ENIAC. We've been showing pages off. We've been telling you what's in the book. We've been saying what's in the back, all this stuff. And they're going to get the book and they're going to be like, what is this? Where's that other thing? What's going on here? We're going to do a lot of that. So I'm very excited for people to be like, I can't believe they spent all that money to trick us. Why would they do that?
It's keeping the fans on their toes, and hopefully they'll appreciate something like that. A lot of times, it usually ends up working out well for people when there's a what the fuck kind of So
just blame it on Tom Holland.
Blame it on Tom Holland. Everything. It's very much like that, actually. Everything that we're showing will eventually come out. It's just about will you get it when we say you're going to get it, and will you get it in the way we're saying you're going to get it. And hopefully, people learn not to look away. That's our goal. We're too small to afford people looking away, so we got to keep them guessing.
There are a lot of other good questions here. Chris, do you have any other questions you want to add?
No, I just want to say I'm really again, and I say this as a collector, I'm very intrigued. I'm going to be I'm a fan right now. Like I'm diving into this, excited for this.
Convert another one. That's awesome.
Yeah, as a businessman, I really enjoyed everything that you've said here tonight. It really, I've talked to, I've had a few different, independent publishers that are trying to do their own thing on the show. I've done a lot of reviews of books, and there's as much as I try to be humble and try to pick out positive things that I can see they're doing, ultimately, if I got to sit and hypothesize what I think is going to be their future, it's like it's just that penetration into this market is so hard.
Yeah.
I everything that you said and how you stated today gives me actual hope. Not, and again, I'm speaking as a business, not even as a collector. Like I see every variable that you talked about being so strategic and so at least it may not work out perfectly, and you're going to learn, you're going to hit bumps in the road and all that. But I think you have a perfect idea of what you guys are doing, and I think that is what matters right now.
Yeah, we're trying to boil it down to the approach, and I have I sound good now because I have an amazing team. Again, Warren, Adam, Hunter, Josh, Carl, amazing team, and then the creators. They're so invested, man. Everything we're doing. They're giving us advice. This is what we're seeing on the retail side over here. They're not just staying, and no one's staying in a lane. Everyone's treating this like it's their own.
That being that passionate about something is the base, the heart and soul of a company like that. And, I'm personally rooting for you. Again, I want to touch upon Sean Miller.
Yeah.
We did touch upon this, Sean. I may have missed this, but how do you feel about variants in regards to store variants, and how do you plan to address stores trying to produce exclusive store variants? There won't be any, but I'll let Dinesh.
Yeah, there's no variants. There's no store variants either. Store variants are fascinating. They've become such a big component. Berserker you just saw Berserker.
Yeah.
Rightly sell 615,000. Huge book. It looks awesome. And a lot of that is store variants, and it's a great thing for stores. It allows them to be able to promote their store and the book in a way that's exclusive to their base, their consumer base. But what we're saying to ourselves is that takes a lot of work. Selling 600,000 copies, I can only imagine 100 store variants. That's 100 covers. That's 5 issues of story right there. If you think about it that way, 20, 22 pages of a book, that's a 5-issue series. That's a year's worth of work. So we said to ourselves, no variants. We'll sell less. That's okay. We'll get more readers. Hopefully we'll grow in the long term to be stronger because of it. And the books will be better because we'll be able to spend all that money and time building the books.
That's excellent. Again, as comic book fans, we're going to want that. We want fresh and new story. We talk about this all the time. Chris and I have been doing the show almost a year now, Chris. Crazy. But we talk about pushing the boundaries and getting new, fresh content out there. And I can speak for most comic book collectors. We're all looking for stuff like this. So again, we really are excited about this. Mastodon Comics is excited. He saw Adam Polina's on one of these titles, so that is awesome. He says.
He's on a few.
What's that?
He's on a few of our books. He is 2 complete books in, not issues, books done. We're just starting on our 3rd book now. We've been working on this for a while. COVID gave us the ability to spend an extra year building creatively. And that allowed us to also, because so many publishers were doing pencils down, allowed us to double up. We got increased production, bring in some creators we were excited about that we couldn't bring in earlier because they were on other books. Polina's killing it.
I think you said a blessing in disguise in a way. So that's good stuff. B. Schnurr, our good friend B. Schnurr. Did we touch on how to find a store near you? We have not, but watch this. Boom. Magic of the internet, badideacorp.com. Is that correct?
You can go to badideacorp.com. There's a little bar on the top left that says stores, or I think retails. I can't remember which one it says. And it's got every store, their phone number. You can get in touch that way. You can also go to whereisbadidea.com. And that's a format for you to go and see every store. You can even pick books that we're publishing, and you can send us an email through that, just filling out the form, and it'll say, I want these books at this store. We'll take information. We'll send it to the store so they can reach out to you as well.
All right, we got 2 more. You guys are crushing with the questions. Well, Dinesh is here to co-host the show as well. We're going to get to those regular segments we do every week. I'm loving this, though. Very important question, Dinesh. Texas or Carolina?
I was just told about this.
But I'll let you answer first.
First of all, Kansas City barbecue.
Oh, okay.
I love that
drier
saucy
one, right? That's a drier barbecue.
No, I think that's the saucy one. Isn't that the saucy one? That's the one where you need the sauce.
You are right. Carolina's the drier one. Carolina's the drier one.
So I go Kansas, Texas, Carolina. But you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong.
You're right about that. I'm going to go Texas first. I'm going to throw that.
There's someone that works a bad idea that will kill me for not going Texas first. Kill me.
You've probably been to South by, right? And going to Stubbs and all that.
Yeah.
Stubbs is you got to go there. Now, Connecticut
and I'm a pescatarian, so I'm not even really meant to be eating this stuff, but I will happily cheat.
You're in a town like that. You're like, I got it. Got to do it. So, will bulk shipments of books to retailers be shipped in a way that minimizes damage? Every collector wants to know this.
A very important question. Two things we're doing to minimize damages. We are overpaying in terms of how the books are shipped. So double box, they're very, very sturdily packed, but we're probably not going to see any damages and not even need that, because the beautiful thing about spending ungodly amounts of money and spending ungodly amounts of time on your 12-point double laminate, double matte, UV spot gloss covers, is these things are practically bulletproof. And so we're going to see dramatically reduced damages. When at Valiant, what we did is we had this problem at Valiant. The 1 in 50s, the high-end variants would get damaged. And that was a real problem. We could easily replace them, but it killed the time. That week that it took killed the interest. We changed the covers. We did 10-point cardstock. No, sorry, we did 110-pound first, which is 2 steps down from what we're doing at Bad Idea. Then we did 10-point, which is 1 step down from Bad Idea. When we did 110-pound, we saw 80% damages go. When we did 10-point, virtually all damages went away. I predict we will see practically no damages on the Bad Idea books unless we realize we're spending way too much money and cheap out on the paper stock.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this because I do remember the feel of the Valiant books, and they were just excellent. And I'm super interested to see what you are going to be delivering to shops.
They're basically trade paperbacks. They're in fact,
awesome.
the Bad Idea books will be a step above that. But even the hero trade, one of the things that I think really helped the hero trade in the back issue market, I was surprised to see this, is the raw copies are selling so well because people realized the book was printed on this ridiculously sturdy cardstock cover. They were not going to get an 8.0 or a 5. They were going to get a 9 point something, probably a 9.6 or above. So they didn't have to worry too much.
That's another important stat for collectors as well. This is our last question before we move on to the next segment. Secret Agent Pollo, by the way, he says this: Franklin's barbecue is better than Stubbs, just to throw it out there as someone who lives in Austin. I agree with that too. I forgot Franklin's name though, so thank you for reminding me. But his question: Bad Idea is going to focus. Is Bad Idea going to focus on ongoing titles, miniseries, or a mixture of both?
One of the things that we're all very excited about at Bad Idea, and there's always the danger of being excited to make something and always excited to actually consume it, is that this self-distribution, and the reason to do self-distribution is it allows us to do things we can't do otherwise, which is not just ongoing and minis. So for instance, Adam Polina's first book for us, a book called Whalesville, I didn't even know what you would call that. It's a one-shot, it's an OGN, it's an oversized, it's some kind of new format. We're going to do anthologies, we're going to do a ton of backups, we're going to do, we're doing a book, if for any toy collectors, when you get like a line of toys and each toy comes with like an arm, a leg, a head, and you build another toy, we're doing a book like that, like the thing that you got to build. I mean, we're just doing a bunch of crazy shit.
That sounds awesome.
All of the above.
That's freaking great. Again, super excited to see what you have going on. And I just want to let you know, as we wrap this segment up, this interview, Dinesh, definitely gained some new fans tonight, myself included, from Sean Miller.
Thanks, Sean.
Good to hear there. And before we move on from this interview, why don't we just share some artwork here? This is Tankers #1.
Luis LaRosa and
Laura. That's the cover?
That's Tankers 1, yeah.
Excellent, because there was another Tankers. We had this right here. I was confused as to what the cover would be.
Juan Jose Rip, that was a promotional piece that we built.
And yeah, his art is fantastic. I'm a Luis LaRosa fan, but his art is outstanding. Another one, you mentioned Whalesville. This has a very interesting look in it. To it, and I it's almost like a children's book, but I don't want to say that. I want to, because I have a daughter. I'd be psyched to get something like this for her.
How old is she?
She's 5.
5. Warren has a 5-year-old. I have a 2.5-year-old. So in some ways, it's building books for our kids. Hunter has kids as well. Adam has kids. But the impetus for something like Whalesville, and we're going to do a few like that. We have several coming. We haven't announced. Is we're going to do a whole kind of corner of Bad Idea that's somewhere in the Pixar Miyazaki world, which means that totally wholesome and optimistic and hopeful for kids, but not speaking down to adults.
Right.
And so I've read Whalesville to my daughter, and she loves it. And she loves it a lot, but not as much as me, man.
The interiors that the images you've released, outstanding. But we're not done here with this first wave, I guess you would call, of Bad Idea. You have the lot, which is what do you? I don't even know what to. I mean, that looks just crazy noir goodness, right? Am I right? I mean,
so here's the premise real quick of the lot, because I'm really excited about this one. The idea is that in the 60s, you had like a Stanley Kubrick-esque auteur director who was obsessed with authenticity, and he was making a horror film. And he decided, and there was a scene with a cult ritual, and he brought in a real cult to do a real ritual, not believing it. And of course, they conjured something of blood and mayhem. Studio covered it up, shut down the stage, the lot, buried it away. It's been warehoused for decades. Now there's a new CEO. This is this woman on the cover. And she's like, why are we paying all this money for this prime real estate in the middle of LA? I'm going to open this up and shoot there again. And of course, she's unwittingly releasing this thing. It's basically a haunted house story. It takes place in the movie lot. And Marguerite Bennett is the writer, and she crushed it on this. She's a horror aficionado like you would not believe, and she's built something completely new in the genre.
Yeah, you're covering all genres here, and it's this last one I want to share got major props in the comments. I cannot find the comment, but we're talking sleigh bells with Santa Claus and machine guns, and it looks just out there in a good way. That's
so
super
sleigh bells is I'll make a confession about sleigh bells. I don't want to publish sleigh bells. I tried to kill this book 6 ways from Sunday. This is Warren Simon's baby, the co-CEO, co-CCO. David LaFuente was doing the art. He's a genius. Zeb Well wrote it. It's funny as hell. But this book comes out in July. Is a Christmas story in which Santa Claus, a hunter and his son accidentally kill one of Santa Claus's reindeers, which takes the whole sleigh down. All the reindeers are dead. Santa's really badly injured, and so he tracks them down into town on a Christmas night, and just these Uzis, SWAT teams. This is basically Rambo, the Rambo story played by Santa Claus. It is insane.
All right, I'm in, but I'm not reading it to my daughter. Please don't take offense. So, okay. Thank you so much for that wonderful interview about Bad Idea Corp. We were all very excited.
Thanks, man. That was a blast.
You have a responsibility now.
Yes.
You are our guest co-host, and we're going to move on. So what we do right now is we have a little segment we call hold on again. Sorry, guys. We have a little segment we call Fresh from the Comic Shop. That's right. We share 5 books each and every week that we picked up fresh from the comic shop. We got in the mail, what have you, an A-OK. Myself, Chris, and a guest co-host, we go through these 5 books one at a time. Guest always goes first. So Dinesh always goes first, unless you need some time to collect your stuff.
No. I just this morning opened up my my mail for the week, so I'm ready.
Now, if you follow Dinesh on Instagram, he has many packages he doesn't really open up very often. They collect, and then he's always like, "Wow, I got this thing I totally forgot."
Like Christmas.
So he's one of those.
Don't you love forgetting what you got in the mail and opening up and being surprised? I love it.
The best.
So, and again, this can cover artwork too, because that is just a collectible that is associated with comic books as well. Cool. So, anyways, we're gonna go with you first. We're gonna bring you up full screen here and give us a share.
Sure. I'm gonna pull my first thing up. All right, so I'm very excited about this. I forgot I bought this. It is an Amazing Spider-Man 365. It's signed, which is cool, but that's not the reason I bought it. And it's not a great grade, 4.0 or whatever. But if you notice, there's no hologram. And I guess because I work in printing, I just love this like weird error stuff. So this somehow got past all of quality control. They didn't affix the hologram to it. And so, I don't know, I figure I'm going to break it out of the case, find an artist I'm excited about, and get them to do a little commission on there.
Wow.
Could be a cool thing.
On top of the that's brilliant, by the way. On top of the fact it's signed,
signed by Stan Lee. It came. No one wanted. It was. I feel terrible for the seller. I was even messaging him after I bought it, and I was like, "I'm sorry, this one was so cheap because the Stan Lee signature is a couple $100. I didn't pay a couple $100 for this thing, and I think people just didn't know what to do with it. They were like, "Why did you get this 4.0 error book graded?" And I was like, "Give me this thing."
You said I'm an artist, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, I would draw my own piece in there.
Yeah, it's cool.
Awesome.
And I'm a 90s kid.
As do we. That's hilarious. Yeah? The fact that it's signed by Stan Lee too is just.
I know it's like I'm a terrible comic fan because it's the thing that I don't care about. It could not be signed by Stan Lee. I wouldn't miss it.
Amazing. All right, Chris, you are up next. What do you got fresh from the comic shop?
All right. Well, it is it's February, and I thought it would be good to show this book off first. February is Black History Month, but I always say Black history is American history, and that is every single day that we live. But to represent, I want to show off my Batman number 230, some real awesome Neil Adams. And we got some Power to the People going on. Really beautiful, high-grade copy. I'm going to give it a press. But even before that, I mean, this thing is, look at that black. Just,
dude. There's nothing. It doesn't look like there's any spine ticks or anything.
There's
Yeah,
a little,
no,
there's a little compression on the other side, little thing there. Is that color breaking, or would that press out?
Yeah, so the only thing I really see is how this is lift up.
Yeah.
And there is one little ding that probably would be considered a 0.5 millimeter rip. But other than that, I mean, the corners are sharp.
Beautiful.
The black is beautiful.
Cover's
Play on
awesome.
words there. Play on words.
Yeah.
I can't wait to put this into press. And this might be one that I send off to get graded this year.
Nice.
That's beautiful. Absolutely. And by the way, just a reminder, you guys put in the comments what you guys picked up this week too. We have 4 entries from you guys from Instagram. I would expect a little bit more from you, but I'm happy to get those 4 entries. We're going to share those in a sec. All right, guys. So I like to go dollar bin digging, and most of the time I do find gold. I didn't find that much this week, so I have a lot of newer issues, but I'm just in love with this first one, this first cover I'm loving this series, even though I'm not completely caught up. But this is Darth Vader number 10. I believe this is the first appearance of Exegol. I mean, look at this cover.
That's an amazing cover.
I absolutely love it. My daughter's a diehard Darth Vader fan at the age of 5, and she was just having so many questions about why he has different body parts and why is he in Red Rain and all this other. So I'm happy that it caught her eye and it caught my eye big time when I saw us in solicitations. Very happy to have this book, and I can't wait to read it. I think I'm 3-4 issues behind, but I'm loving this series, guys. I'm absolutely loving this series. All right.
Awesome, man.
So before we get to you, Dinesh, we're going to go to B. Schnur, because he picked up this week Venom number 3, and he's thinking about getting that graded. This book, honestly, is not going to go anywhere. I mean, especially if he makes it into a Marvel movie. Let's be honest here. There's a good chance that this could happen. He's hot. You got the King in Black going on right now. This book will always be one of those sought-after collectibles. He's the big bad now in Marvel Comics. Will it stay that way? I'm sure there'll be peaks and valleys. Chris, Dinesh, your thoughts on that book? I'm loving that book. I have one myself.
Book is great, but I am so jealous of that Mark Bagley, Lethal Protector, short box he's got over there. That thing, I need one of those. I got to go and help me try and get one tonight.
B. Schnur, let us know where you got that from. I got to be honest, guys. I'm not into the kind of decorative comic book box holder. I beat them up too much. Not to say they
have
protect
you seen
my
them
books.
in person? They're much sturdier.
Okay, I should check
Because
it
of
out.
what they have to do. They are. Yep. They last a lot longer.
I should check it out. Wait, he said something here. That is what inspired for. I showed up with my daughter today and she lit up. Maybe he's talking about the Darth Vader. Pete Keel picked up Star Wars Legends number 2, CGC 9.6, first Darth Talon. That's a good pickup right there, guys. Keep letting us know. And by the way, Azores Tiger, it's nice to see you here. We always enjoy your company as well as your partner Sith Lord Lee. All right, Dinesh, your second pickup this week. What do you got?
Second pickup. I love all these weird things that the newsstands and the Mark Jewelers and things. So I love the DC Universe books, and it's so rare to find them still sealed in their original. I didn't know this was in this, and of course, again, 90s kid, Death Suit Man, Doomsday, and so I just was very excited to get this pack thing here.
What's on the? Obviously the coup de grace is the Doomsday. What's on the back? Is that it?
It's the third print of Justice League 69.
Is that with Giffen? Is that run?
No, this is also Doomsday. This is the same Death Suit.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
One, and this is part
that's a nice
part 2, actually. I think.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I think this is part 2. I think it's part 1 and part 2. So this is the third printing of the second part of Doomsday. And
where'd you find that?
eBay. $40 on eBay.
Wow, that's a nice pickup. That's definitely like one of those collectibles. People are on the hunt for those things, especially reminiscent of being in the 90s and all that good stuff. All of us, the 3 of us did grow up in the 90s. All right, Christopher, what do you got for your second pickup?
All right, well, I'll stick with your Darth Vader theme, Jeff. This is so 4 years ago now. What year is it? 4 years ago now, Marvel did the 40th anniversary variant cover series for all the Star Wars. They're doing the 40th Empire right now, which I think is getting close to wrap up. And I collected all of the variants, but I didn't get my hands on the first 3. So I found a seller on Instagram that really hooked up a good deal. I got a couple other books with it, but this is Dr. Afra #3. This is the 40th anniversary variant.
Oh, nice.
It is the first out of 48 of the variants, and it tells the story of A New Hope through the still frame images that is the cover. So yeah, I'm so happy to get the first one in the series. I still got to get 2 and 3. Maybe that'll happen someday.
Those covers are great. I'm loving those covers. They're not highly sought after, which I don't understand why, but there's some really sweet ones, especially the Empire Strikes Back one. So that's a nice pickup there, Chris. All right, guys, this one came out this week. This is a book that people are really high on when it first came out a few weeks ago. This is the second print, but this second print is ridiculously, like, just so minimal, but that's why it sticks out, and it's #1, second print.
Whoa.
I haven't read it yet, but I mean,
awesome. I hadn't seen that.
Come on. Yeah. My LCS, the owner was like, do you want this? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get it. Because I was going to pick up the first issue that just kind of went crazy and just sold out immediately. And I passed. And I was like, you know what? This thing is so unique. I'm not going to pass on it. So I got #1, the second print there. So, yeah. So, all right. Before you go, Dinesh, I have a buddy named Nish. I call him Nish, so I apologize. It's coming out as Nish. Before we get any further here, we have Swaggle House Comics with Avengers #65. I have this issue too. The Swordsman is, in full flesh right there. I also have his first appearance back here somewhere, but loving that stuff, man. Swaggle House. He picked this up this week at one of Chris's favorite shops right outside of LA. What is that shop, Chris?
Spiro's Heroes. Yeah, if you guys are in the LA, Riverside, I mean, any of the surrounding area, and you take a little trip, man, Spiro's Heroes. I got a chance to go down there about 3.5 years ago now. And Elliot, the owner, he's just a really amazing guy. And it's just a really awesome store. In their old location, they had 4 rooms of short and long boxes from the floor to the wall, 50 cents. And not only are they marked 50 cents, but I went in there with the long box and Elliot was like, hey, go fill up your long box and I'll give you whatever you can shove into it for $100. I shoved that thing so tight, threw some like on top of the books that I already shoved in, put the lid on it, and he was like $100. So yeah, they got awesome deals and just a great staff, and they're really great too. If you see like key books or even books that have a standard sticker price on it, they're obviously definitely willing to work with you. So I absolutely recommend anybody down in that LA area, man, check out Spiro's Heroes.
I saw that on Instagram. Because he tagged it on Instagram, and I just checked it out, and it's no joke. Those are 4 rooms full of back issues. That's an excellent looking store. Pete Keel, you know what? I'm glad you brought this up. It's not a pickup, but he dug out his Marvel 1990 cards, and he's going to send 40 to PSA. They're like out of nowhere, guys. I don't know if you've noticed this. They're exploding, and I have no idea what I did with mine. Like, it's crazy though. Like, these things, I love. I don't know if you guys collected these back in the day, but I absolutely did. I love
mine are in my binder, my Bart Simpson binder on my bed right now. And they were there. They've been in my room on my dresser for like months, just hanging out. And then I was actually looking at them like last week, and I just left them on my bed, and then I start hearing all this, stuff blowing up, and I'm like, I'm like. I made a joke when I started my live stream on my show tonight. I said, okay, guys, we got our live show tonight. I'm really tired today, so I'm not going to put my, Marvel cards on eBay just yet. But, I'm going to do it this weekend. I might do a few more videos, but after that, I'm going to retire and I'm done.
Yeah, they're probably next to your garbage pail kids as well. So, God, we all missed the night.
It's crazy. It's crazy seeing these prices.
I know. I mean, let's. A lot of people are attributing this to the pandemic and people not going out to the movies or going to dinner, those kinds of things. And anyways, it fascinates me. But moving on though, what else fascinates me is what your third pick is. Is it third pick, Dinesh? What do you got?
All right, another graded book here.
Oh, geez.
We've got a Crime Center Stories, classic headless cover. This is the book that almost took the entire industry down. I love it. I think it's one of the greatest covers in comics. It's a low grade, but I kind of love that. I kind of love all the pieces ripped off, the fraying, there's tape on the side. I don't know if you can see the tape.
Yeah.
Just an amazing cover. And this is the book that, for anyone that knows comics history, this is the book that was held up in the Senate hearings. And William Gaines had to answer, is this in bad taste? And he said, no. And they said, what would be in bad taste? And he said, if we had the head held higher and there was blood dripping. And of course the Senate said, great, we're going to censor all of comics.
Yeah.
And that was the end of EC and the beginning of, the Archie reign.
And the Comics Code, right? Is that
the Comics Code? Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. I love books like that have a backstory, that have some sort of impact, societal impact especially. That's one of those books. That's fascinating. Chris and I did a piece months ago on something like that, and I know we pulled a picture of that Senate hearing. It was absolutely actually it was Tom Tormey. Oh, cool. We do a Cosmic Minute, which is basically a comic book history moment, which you're going to see in a hot second here once we get through this. But yeah, fascinating stuff. And the Comics Code doesn't stop there because it's actually, this was the first book that did not have.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The Comics Code right there. Stanley's like, we're going to publish this. It's a drug story. Comics Code didn't allow drugs. So those stories behind it, those issues, it fascinates me. Again, I'm using the word fascinates a lot, but again, I'm serious, Chris. Your next pick fascinates me as well. What do you got?
Well, yeah, I mean, what fascinates me is that I bought this book off of eBay, and I said this when I looked at it. I'm like, usually when you're buying books, just looking at pictures, you're taking that risk because you're not seeing the book in person, and there's usually stuff that you miss, and hey, you got to live with it. I love when I get a book that when I get it in my hands, I'm like, this looks better than the pictures. And that's what happened with this book right here. This is Justice League number 64, the first Silver Age appearance of the Red Tornado. Nice. And I think he had this book marked as a VG fine. But man, this book is like it could use a press. It's got a little bit of rippling down here, but no color breaks. I mean, a couple little spine ticks, but it is just beautiful, man. And I am very, very happy with this book. I just talked about this book in one of my the top 100 comics to invest in for under $100, and I decided to say, hey, well, you know what? I'm going to go try to get one for myself.
Awesome. Putting your money where your mouth is. It's got a great wrap.
Yep.
That's a good call, too, because you have Red Tornado's daughter appearing in the Black Adam movie as well.
Oh, right.
You expand on that. Who knows? We'll see. But speaking of DC, I picked up another second print today, guys. And I'm not a big second print one, but I missed this previous issue. I actually really like this cover. This is Future State Teen Titans. I'm very hit or miss with Future State.
Nice.
But look at Dick Grayson as Deathstroke there, and then you got the first appearance of the Red X. A lot of people are speculating that it's Clown Hunter, which I don't think that's really the case. But this is a really my comic shop owner was just like, "You want this one too?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" I missed out on that first one, so that's my third pick right there. Haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to read that. I've heard a lot of good things about that specific issue. Guys, let us know in the comments what you all got, because we're going to go hit up another viewer. Oh, Dan De La Torre has two pickups here, and they are gems, guys. I mean, look at this. We got Journey into Mystery.
First Loki.
5. First appearance of Loki. Dan actually, man, he's a friend of the show. He's going to do something special for us, like for our 1,000th sub, and I'm over them. Like, I'm out of words. I don't know how to. Obviously, I'm stuttering right here, but he's such a good dude, and we really appreciate you here every week, Dan. But he did want to say something like, getting books like this is definitely achievable. Let's see, what did he say? He wants to. God, we've been going back and forth. Sorry, guys. Major keys like these are. Oh, hold on. he just wants to tell the group that you can score major keys even on a budget. And I'm not sure what he paid for this, but he definitely wanted to express that and come across. And this is a major, major key. I mean, and this book is only going to get hotter with Loki show coming our way, coming soon. So super excited about that. Great pickup, Dan. Dinesh, this is your fourth one, man. Your fourth one. What do you got?
All right, I got got two left, so I'm gonna go doozy, and then I'm gonna be an ass at the last one. So I just got this in. It's coverless though.
Oh,
do you know what this is?
Is it? It can't be Spider-Man 1, is it?
It's not Spider-Man 1.
Is it? It's not Amazing Fantasy 15.
It is Amazing Fantasy 15.
Holy cow!
Wow. It's a coverless Amazing Fantasy 15.
Oh my gosh!
Nice.
Which the guy selling it was having a little trouble. He put it up on sale on the CGC boards, and I just, you get to help somebody, and you get to have an Amazing Fantasy 15. Coverless, people don't really care, so it's a little cheaper than I think it should be. And I realized this is my favorite book all time. As a kid, I got a trade. I read the story. I was blown away. Never thought I'd own one. I own a couple now.
That's huge.
But I've never read an actual copy. Well, I'm going to read it because they don't reprint. Like, what was fascinating, I opened it up, and they've got a mummy story in here, Man in the Mummy Case. It's just awesome, man. And I'm going to be weird.
It
smells so good.
I was going to ask that, but at the fear of people thinking I'm a freak, I love the old smells of comic books, man. And you as a publisher, I miss that paper.
You know what it smells like? Here's the thing it smells like. It smells like 1990s trading cards fresh from the pack. There's something about the way they're treated when they're printed that just, my wife she's like, what are you doing? I'm constantly like, she thinks I'm crazy.
We don't think you're crazy because I do the same thing.
Absolutely not.
Like, my daughter's like, why do you smell your comic? I'm like,
I'll tell you the other reason to get these, the coverless ones, because you can read them without feeling like you're destroying value. And a lot of times they've changed typos that people don't even realize. So I had a coverless ASM 3, and Peter Parker's name, I can't remember what it was. Peter Parker's name is wrong the entire story. He's not Peter Parker.
Oh, wow.
He's like, I forget what his name was. He was like Paul Perkins or something. And I'm like, what is this? And they fixed it in every trade after that.
Oh my God.
And it's just, there were no typos in this one that I caught.
Serge wants to smell your comic.
You're welcome. Come over. It smells so good.
I don't blame him either. That's freaking fantastic.
It smells I think you're right.
Can you do us a favor though? Actually, this is a good call. Dan Del Torre wants to show the last panel because you can see.
Yes. It does have peoples. You talking about that one?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah. That's Steve Ditko, right?
Steve Ditko, the genius of Steve Ditko.
Yeah, man.
And then this is amazing, right? This panel here. And a lean, silent figure slowly fades into the gathering darkness, aware at last that in this world with great power there must also come great responsibility. I mean, that line alone built the whole.
All right, Chris and I talk about this. Spider-Man is our favorite character of all time. Props to you for picking that up. We love that. That's one. Actually, that's probably the best get on Fresh from the Comic Shop. No doubt about that. So Chris, try and top that one, buddy. Go ahead.
Yeah, not gonna happen. Might as well just call it a night. Well, at least my next picks, it's a duo. At least they have a fun story about it. I'll keep it short, but I ordered these two books off of the Mercari selling app. Okay. And, it's COVID right now. And I know, I don't mean to be a stickler and be a freak about safety, but I do have a high risk son. I'm very serious about making sure I'm mindful of my own safety and as well as others whenever I go out. But I put this offer in for these books on the Mercari app, and it's a nice woman that's selling the books, and she accepts my offer, and I'm like, awesome, thanks. She's like, yeah, I'm getting them out right now, but I'm just so sick with the stomach flu. And I'm like, oh shoot, are you sure it ain't COVID? I didn't say that, but I was thinking that. And then she says, yeah, I'm shipping them because it took her like 3 days to get them out, and she's messaging me selling it. She said, I'm going to ship them priority. And I'm like, oh, great. So, like, you know, you're sick. You're touching the book. You're going to ship it to me. I'm going to get them in like 1 to 2 days. So I'm like, dude, like, I am weird about this. I don't want to bring the stomach flu, let alone something else into my house. So I got these books delivered, and I literally, they sat on my porch for a week.
Smart. That's smart. That's good.
So,
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, and then you should have seen me opening them. I'm like, yeah, I was just freaking out the whole time. But
that's a great book.
Okay, so it's two books. This is Thor 411 and Thor 412. First cameo and first full appearance of the New Warriors. I think the New Warriors are underrated, man. I love Night Thrasher, loved him growing up. So yeah, I'm glad I finally. I can't believe I swear I had these as a kid. These might be ones that I didn't lose too many, but I did lose a few. But I'm so glad to have these back.
They're newsstands as well, Chris. You've managed newsstands. That's awesome,
dude. I picked that up off the rack. I remember that, and like that. You know, I went and got, when the New Warriors launched their own series. I got that, and that's where I fell in love with like Mark Bagley's art. Just absolutely just stunning. So that's a great pickup. I love that. That's a good fresh from the comic shop, no doubt. All right. Guys, here's my fourth pick right here. All right, now I'm into the dollar bin digging. This one was an interesting one. You know, we're all watching WandaVision, Monica Rambeau. She's hot right now. This is Marvel Fanfare number 24.
Nice.
It is the first appearance, or first time Monica Rambeau meets with Carol Danvers in canon. So I was like, I gotta pick this one up for $1.
Awesome.
I think it's going for much more than that. This, I don't know. I haven't read it, so I don't know what's going. This isn't like ElfQuest, or maybe it is. I don't know what's going on in the cover here. I love the art though on the cover. P. Craig Russell from '85. I'm not sure, but anyway. So I was happy to find that in a dollar bin. All right, so we are on to our last books of the week. But before we do, we have one more from Dan De La Torre. Come on, guys. I mean, you know,
yes.
Tales of Suspense 39, just an amazing pickup. I think that comes in second place to Dinesh's Amazing Fantasy 15. But he's over.
Look at that cover. Look at the layer. It's
he's over the moon. He's very happy he picked that one up. So kudos to you, Mr. Dan De La Torre, and thank you as always for telling us what your fresh from the comic shop picks are. All right, so Dinesh, this is your last one.
My last one. Yep.
What do you got for your fifth pickup?
I saved this one. So I got this in the mail. I did not know it was coming. I did not buy this. It was gifted to me by Matt Kint, who built it for me. He built this book for me. So it's I'll show you the interior. It's Captain Victory number 7. He took a Captain Victory number 7. He ripped it out of the cover. He took because Matt's super creative. He took a blank cover, cardstock cover, stapled it together, drew, painted, colored a custom cover of Captain Fab. Captain Fab is, for anyone that's read the Hero Trade, Captain Fab is the character that's in the trunk, and pieces of him are being chopped off and sold off. And I don't know why. I cannot tell you why he did this. He also did this on the back. A little bad idea.
That's cool.
Logo, coffee stains and things. I mean, he's just an awesome. They're all, everyone I'm working with, I'm blessed. They're all super cool people.
That's really
one of
cool.
my favorite things ever.
Yeah, that's really good.
Victory. And the interiors, it's like, it just feels like a piece. You know?
That is cool. I love it.
When you're working with people, when you, first of all, believe in what you do and love what you're doing, but you're also working with people you genuinely love and you would be friends outside of any kind of a professional environment, stuff like that.
So
that's
lucky.
just awesome.
Yeah.
So,
now I got to throw him one. It's not going to be anywhere near as good.
But you know what? You have to do it. But
maybe I should draw on that Spidey 365 and send it back to him.
Right. Yeah.
You can't. Honestly,
the eyes.
I'm excited to see what you do with that for yourself. That's
I'm open to
super
suggestions. What do you guys think? What should I do?
Let's take it to the comments. What do you guys think that Dinesh should put in that with 365, Amazing Spider-Man 365 that does not have the hologram logo or the hologram in there? Let us know. But it's funny that somebody made you, Matt Kent made you that book because Chris has one that somebody else made him right now. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah.
No.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. You mean the ones that I made myself?
It did not work at all. My bad.
Segue.
Yeah, terrible.
Oh, I think I just.
By the way,
I think I snuck a little sneak peek at my last book, but. All right, here. So I think my theme for this week has really been getting books that were extremely conservatively graded, and I'm just like blown away. This was another one, eBay buy. I think he had this as like a fine plus or something. Maybe it was fine, very fine. I don't know, but like this is a near mint book. It has like 2 spine ticks that don't even break color, and the corners are like perfect, man. And my son, my little guy, is gonna be jealous because this is like one of his favorite superhero characters of all time, and it's Tales of the Teen Titans, awesome. 44, nice. First Nightwing. And again, and on a cover that has so much black, this book is darn near perfect almost. And I will give it a press as well.
You did it again. That's beautiful.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's a hard book to get in that condition.
Yeah, I really am blown away. I mean, in the back is like perfectly white. I don't know how much you guys could see on the camera, but I mean, it is like super, super white, as if it just came off the presses yesterday. I mean, I'm blown away by what and it was a bid. It was a bid that I thought was way under even the condition that it was stated in by the eBay seller. I was like, wow. And then I see it in person. I'm like, no way. So I'm excited about that one.
Dude, that's 2 quality pickups of really hard books that are hard to keep in, high quality condition. I'm psyched to see if you get that graded, what that's going to be. All right, here's the deal, guys. Oh, by the way, there are a few suggestions. Actually, Azores Tiger said this first. An artwork piece of a Spider-Man 2099 that would make sense. Just don't give that Amazing Spider-Man to Chip Zdarsky, who would drop penises on it, guaranteed.
That is tempting, though.
Oh my gosh.
It would probably be the only one in circulation that had penises written on it. I mean, and Stan Lee's signature. That's terrible. We can't put the two.
That's an amazing combo. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Stan Lee's signature suddenly is so much more interesting to me now.
All right. Now, speaking of interesting, Chris has a problem, right? Chris, each and every week, and most of our viewers know that Chris has a major problem. And his major problem is this book right here. It's Warlock and the Infinity Watch number 1. I picked this up in the Dollar Bin book. See, Chris, what you don't know, this is an intervention to your problem here. Because Dinesh, the dude, he's got 30 issues at least he's picked up in the past year. Like
you can't stop? Why?
He can't stop.
Why this book?
I love it. It's my book.
This is the one. This is the one.
I just have to have them.
It's colorful. It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah.
Big number 1 on it. It hits all the buttons.
Chris, I have to say, I picked this up for you.
Oh, look at that.
So I'm enabling.
Yeah.
I'm enabling. But I'm going to here's another one to your collection. So that's my 5th book. And that is our fresh from the comic shop.
I love it.
That was a great one. Dinesh, you brought it, man. You brought it. We're so glad we chose you to be our guest co-host this week because you have done an outstanding job thus far. But here we go. We're going to tell you what's coming up next. We do a segment each and every week with our good buddy Tom Tormey. He has a handle on Instagram called Comic Cosmic History. Each and every day, he brings it each and every day. He brings us some juicy nugget of comic book history that you just are like, either you're like, that's awesome, he talked about that, or you're like, I had no idea about this. So Cosmic Comic History, please follow him, those of you who do not. But this is Tom, bringing us his weekly segment as he does to Comic Book Canon. It's the Cosmic Minute, and we are very lucky to have him involved in this show each and every week. This week, guys, is about how Ghostbusters almost never came to be. Check it out.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom from Cosmic Comic History, and this is your Cosmic Minute. And today we're talking about how Harvey Comics wanted to make sure you never saw the Ghostbusters ever again. Harvey Comics had entered the comic book publishing business in 1941, but it really wasn't until the 1950s when they started licensing characters like Casper the Friendly Ghost, Richie Rich, and the Ghostly Trio that they became a household name. In 1984, the world was introduced to the Ghostbusters and the No Ghost logo, originally created by Dan Aykroyd and further developed by Michael C. Gross. The No Ghost logo did not sit well with Harvey Comics. They thought it looked too similar to their Fatso character, part of the Ghostly Trio. Harvey ended up taking Columbia Pictures to court, suing for $50 million, and they wanted every copy of Ghostbusters destroyed. Harvey lost the case on two grounds. One, despite renewing their claim in 1983, Fatso had spent too long in the public domain. The other reason, according to the Manhattan judge, is that there's only so many ways to draw a cartoon ghost. Despite all the lawsuits, in 1994's live-action Casper movie, Dan Aykroyd does appear as a Ghostbuster. So time does heal all wounds. I'm still Tom from Cosmic Comic History, and that was your Cosmic Minute. Until next time, be well and stay safe.
I love me some Tom.
That was amazing.
Dinesh, this is what he brings each and every week. Follow him on the Instagram.
I just did.
East Coast time. It's around 7, 8 o'clock. He posts, and you're going to be like, wow, I had no idea about that. This is yet another one of those. So, again, the Ghostbusters almost never happened. You know, it never almost came to be to what they are today. So that's, again, everybody, Cosmic Comic History. Fascinating stuff. That's what he brings each and every week. Yeah, I had no idea about that one either. I don't know about you, Chris, Dinesh.
I love that Casper movie though, and I remember Dan Aykroyd being in there and being like, "Yeah, this is awesome."
So maybe that was like an Easter egg, unintentionally. All right, moving on. Dan De La Torre says it best. It's not over, Dish. It's a tough show. I know we're dragging you through like broken glass on the road, but you are a trooper because right now, we have one of our top segments we do each and every week. It is the top 10 hottest comics of the week.
Oh, cool.
What we do here, Dinesh, is based off of Cover Price. I'm sure you're familiar with Cover Price. They release the top 10 list each and every week on a Monday. Our show is always live on Friday. What we like to do here is we like to just run through the top 10 list, and then Chris here picks his top 3 most interesting books of this list each and every week, and he dives into detail. So we have some books to talk about here for some good reasons and for some not so good reasons. So why don't we just bring it up? I'll list it off right here. Top 10 hottest comics of the week based off of Cover Price. And at number 10, we have War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas, number 1. That book has so many first appearances in it. A lot of people saying that, Shang-Chi, there may be some appearances, those characters in there. Be on the lookout for that book. Number 9 is Black Panther, World of Wakanda. Number 1, Natasha Bustos' 50th anniversary variant. We all know why this is hot because of that Ryan Coogler news from last week. And number 8 is Amazing Spider-Man, number 55. That thing is just hot. It's been in here for the last 3-4 weeks. That cover's just gorgeous. And second print red, third print blue, 1 in 50 white. So awesome stuff. Number 7 is Thor 459. We'll get into that as to why. Number 6 is Luna, number 1, Jenny Frison variant, 1 in 25. At number 5 is The Forever Mask from Scout Comics. Number 4 is The Immortal Hulk, number 43, the Declan Shalvey cover. At number 3 is Immortal Hulk again, number 43, that's cover A. Number 2 is Black Panther, World of Wakanda, number 1. And number 1 is The Immortal Hulk, number 43, Joe Bennett, the homage cover. All right, so what we got here, guys, is some interesting stuff. I don't know, Dinesh, does anything stick out for you before Chris just gets right into it?
I mean, that's a good list. Cover Price do a great job.
Yeah.
I was just, we all love that Spidey cover, but I was just looking at it again thinking, this is really it's an all-time Spidey cover. It's seared into our memory now. It's really amazing what they've done with that.
And saying that, is backed up by the fact, again, it's in this top 10 hottest list. And this is data, guys. People are not speculating and putting these, just throwing it in there. People are buying this nonstop throughout the past few weeks since it was released. So yeah, it is up there, and it's definitely a memorable cover, beautiful cover by Gleason, I believe. But anyway, so now's the time Chris talks about his top 3 picks of the week. So Chris, what do you got for your first one here?
All right, everyone. So I had to go with this book because I'm going to break it like this. You heard it first on Comic Book Canon, and I give all credit to Jeff. My number 3 pick is Thor 459, first appearance of Thunderstrike. We talked about the Thunderstrike look last week with the photos, the behind-the-scenes photos from the set of Thor Love and Thunder, and Jeff is like, Thunderstrike, and I'm like, no, man, that's Point Break, and Jeff is like, Thunderstrike, and I'm like, Point Break. He's like, whatever. Check out Thor 459. And I guess everyone that watched our show last week just went and bought this book. Obviously, I'm just kidding. I'm not. Jeff, I do want to give you some credit, but I can't give you all the credit. You never know. So I hope you guys know I was playing around. But still, this Thunderstrike hype, like, wow. And again, it just shows you how crazy collectors and hobbyists will just jump on the smallest things. This book had a 524% increase in sales with a high raw of $30. I swear I probably have a few copies of this book that I know I bought for probably $1 or less. And you could have probably found this book for a few bucks or less, even in your dollar bins, just last week. So it goes to show, this is absolutely nuts. And Jeff, I don't know about you, but my theory, and we don't know, but if anything, this whole image of the Thunderstrike look, maybe just an homage, an ode to it that's not even going to be talked about or vocalized or something. I mean, we
did say this. Dinesh, to give you some context, I think it was last week they had some Thor Love and Thunder images on set, which were amazing looking, and he had the Thunderstrike look. Chris and I both said, like, this is not a book you should be jumping on.
I agree very much.
Yeah. Again, Thunderstrike, when I was reading it, was cool, but we were just kids back then. I don't see them bringing in Eric Masterson to do any sort of – I think it's more of a homage. But, again, you guys spend what you want, spend what you love. Don't listen to us. This is just our opinions on things.
But people get excited, right? They see it and they go, oh, yeah, that's right. I love that. I want that.
Totally. That's what we're saying. Like, it's on you. But if you're a speculator thinking that you're going to get this book and it's going to – tenfold, and by the time Love and Thunder comes out, I don't think that's going to be the case. And I think, speaking for you guys as well, I don't see you guys believing in that as either. So,
yeah, definitely. I think this is going nowhere, and my humble opinion. But take everything we say with a grain of salt. You never know with Marvel, though. You never know.
You guys are awesome. That's very responsible of you. Not a lot of people do it like this. That's very cool.
Oh, we appreciate it.
Yeah, and I always say, and every time I do a lot of top 10s and top this and top that on my video, and I break, we break down the numbers. This is why. And then look, like we're all here. We all, speculate to some extent. We all like to talk about it, but do what you do because the love is there first. If you like the character, if you enjoy taking the risk, hey, if you want to take a risk on this book right now and you're willing to spend $30 on it, that's the risk that you're willing to take. And if it makes you happy, then I'm happy for you, right?
That's what it is. If it makes you happy. As Thoreau says, buy what you love. So go for it. Go for
it.
Right.
Exactly.
So, Chris, we have a second book on this list, and we're going to get right to it. What do you got?
Yes. All right, number 2. Hey, a little more substantiated to be on this list. Black Panther, World of Wakanda. Number 1, I just love this beautiful cover, red, black, and green. This book is a book that I have 3 copies of just because I enjoyed it. This book obviously is hot because we got the Disney Plus announcement of a World of Wakanda, or exploring the universe of Wakanda TV show that is going to be on Disney Plus, obviously headed by Ryan Coogler. So I'm extremely excited about that. And this is, like I said, something that I think can have some substantial push for, some type of long term. We saw a 491% increase in sales. High raw hitting $38. So, again, look, I always talk about the state of rumors and announcements, or excuse me, the steps. And this is a book where we hit that big next step up where we get an official announcement, you know, and I think this is one, like, there wasn't really any rumor. You know, we got Black Panther. We knew Black Panther was going to be there. So once that happens with the character, you can almost speculate on anything, right? Once this was announced, I mean, this book took off because I don't know if anyone really saw this coming, especially, unfortunately, with the passing of Chadwick. I don't know if that changed the decision to get this show green lit. But the bottom line is I really think the show is going to open up the door for so much that is Wakanda and Black Panther. Will it relate? Like, will the show actually relate to the storyline in this book? I don't know. I think just right now, without having any other type of information, it's probably just the best thing that we as collectors and speculators can cling to is saying, well, this seems like it's going to relate. Hey, we shall see.
I think there are a lot of first appearances in there, and obviously, if I'm going to compare this book to Thor 459, I would say if you're a speculator, this would be the book to go with. And I think this is exciting, especially the new characters they may be concentrating on in World of Wakanda. I don't think you're going to see much of Shuri in it. I really don't. I think you're going to see kind of ancillary characters that are on the outside that are going to be the main characters. And I think they may be plucking from this.
I think you're totally wrong, man.
Really?
Totally wrong. I think what Feige has just done with WandaVision is say these shows that you thought of as like the one shots that take place outside Civil War, where Punisher has to go like save a school bus of people. Nah, man, we're gonna put all the big guns there. I think they're treating them like A stories. I bet we do see Shuri. I bet we'd see all of it.
Interesting. I agree with you on the ones that they have announced. This one, for some reason, I feel like they're going to. I don't know, and I cannot pronounce the female warriors tribe name, the group name. I think they're gonna focus on that group right there is what I would think. I hear you. They're treating their series like they're
crazy, right? They're big,
right?
6-hour feature length films, right? It's outstanding, especially WandaVision, which we have so much to say about.
Yeah,
but and I agree with you. I'm not sure about this one though. You know, and again, speculation.
I'm kind of in the middle. I definitely see that going both ways here with this. But I just, it still hurts me to talk about Chadwick Boseman and him not being here. Yeah. But I would have to take his loss, maybe playing into this to where, it to Dinesh's point, maybe this opens up the door for them to take these main characters that we've seen and flesh out something else to explain why T'Challa is no longer there. So yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, but to your point, Jeff, I do agree that like the world of Wakanda is something though that can absolutely be fleshed out and be something that stands on its own legs. So there's a lot here. Obviously, we have nothing yet, except we know that there's going to be a show. I cannot wait to start getting some type of glimpse on what this is going to look like.
I think it's a ways off, but super psyched. No matter what, I think we can all agree we're super psyched that an announcement like this was made because they're just expanding the world that we love. So I'm very happy about this. I know most of you guys are too. All right, so we have a third book here that we're gonna talk. Chris is gonna talk about. And it's kind of bullshit, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Look, and again, I'm going to take this lightly, guys. I'm not going to try to, we're not going down too much of a slippery slope here. But there was a book that had 3 covers on this list today, and I'm not even going to say the name of the book. I'm not even going to talk about it. But I wanted to talk about this in my top 3 because I think it's important to why this book is so hot right now. And I'm not even going to get into the details of that, but we know that there's a book on this list that has some controversy that seemed to come off is very negative to a certain group of people. The artist that was involved in this imagery that was shown to be negative did issue an apology. He stated that it was not meant to be offensive at all. Whether that's true or not, I think that's irrelevant at this point. I understand how this issue, even if there wasn't any intent to be negative, I can absolutely see how it can be seen as negative by fans, by everyday people. And I think it was right for Marvel to recall this book. Here's why I want to talk about it. I talk about books that are on this list because of multiple different reasons. And I may not like a crazy book like Thor 459 selling 500+% increase in sales and selling for $30 when it was a dollar bin book last week. I talk about that because although I laugh at it and I would never pay that money for that book, it's cool. It's cool to talk about. I don't hate on any of these things. This is why I enjoy the hobby. But this is one where I have to be a decent human being and say, I want to encourage all of us to stop being speculators or stop being investors just for this type of moment in this type of situation. Because for me, if a book is being recalled because it had a print error or because something like that, like a misspelling of Peter Parker's name, like we were just talking about earlier, something like that, that's cool. But when it's something that can be very derogatory and have real life consequences, I don't care if that book will ever have value. I don't care if it will ever be worth $500,000, $5,000 to $500,000. I do not want to support buying that book. And that's just point blank, period. So, like I said, I'm not going to get into all the politics of it or not. For me, it's about being a decent human being. And I really wanted to use this opportunity to say, I just want us collectors to be responsible in what we do when it has detriments that can affect people in real life outside of this hobby. All right. So, I hope that gets the point across. Like I said, without diving too much into the politics of it, I would never own a book because it was popular or hot and had spec value for all the wrong reasons.
And there are people asking what this is about. And basically, Immortal Hulk 43 is being recalled because there's a panel in there in a jewelry shop. It says jewelry, missing the L, jewelry. And there's a Star of David below that. And, people, I'll take the apology from Joe Bennett, the artist on there. He said it was a mistake. And I guess, Dinesh, that passes through an editor too. An editor could have caught that as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
I'm not so sure I see any malintent, but I'm kind of disgusted that people are buying into this thinking that it's going to be of value for something that obviously people were like, hey, this is not cool. And it did bother people. So that's where I have a problem with it.
Joe Bennett's the interior artist?
Yeah.
I know Joe. I worked with him at Valiant. All my dealings with him, he's not that kind of guy. So I'm very surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
And it passes through a lot of, not just Ender, it passes through a lot of people. There's a lot of people that would have missed that.
And it's not like right in your face. We didn't pull the pan. Chris and I decided not to bring the image of the book.
Right. Yeah, no need to.
But it's not like it's right in your face and blatant. I could, especially if there's no track record of this guy being an anti-Semite or anything like that. I take his apology as sincere. I just don't find it acceptable for people to be going out there and buying this as a collectible or specking on it and just things like that. It's in my opinion, it's disgusting.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. We're not trying to, this isn't about, again, like cancel culture. We're not, Joe is an artist and this is his livelihood. We're not here to pick up pitchforks against anyone and go to some extreme to hurt somebody's livelihood. It's the fact of, I'm sure, Joe himself probably could say, wow, this was an error that was made. And now that I see this, I can see how it could be taken wrong. Yeah, let's get it out of the book. He would probably say that himself. So, I think we're all on the same page to say oops, wasn't any, ill intent here, but it's the good human thing to do to say, let's put that aside. Let's move on. And I think when we speculate on these things for these reasons, it muddies the water, and it's unnecessary, and it just ultimately it's not good for the hobby, in my opinion, because what it's really going to do is it's going to continue a conversation that doesn't even need to be had from people on both sides of this. Like I said, I don't want people on one side to see it and think that, oh, this is BS cancel culture. But at the same time, I don't want people that are possibly offended by it ruining an artist's livelihood for a simple mistake. So that's why I feel like it's for the sake of all of us, let's just move on. You know, if you bought it because you wanted to read it, cool. If you haven't bought it yet and you want to read it, wait for the digital or wait for the when they issue the second print and they take that out, and let's just move on from this.
And with that ends our top 10 hottest comic books of the week. I have no good segues, but that was an interesting list. I feel like that's the first time we've had to address something like that. That's kind of
it is
like, in a top 10 list. But also, we are running on a long show right now, and we want to thank all of you guys for watching, sticking with us this long. It's been an amazing show, but we really, really want to thank Dinesh for just stopping by, telling us about, Bad Idea. We truly appreciate it, and honestly, I'm not gonna speak for Chris, but I am rooting for your success with Bad Idea. I'm so psyched all of these titles actually. Don't forget, badideacorp.com will tell you how to pick up the books, where to pick up the books, all of that good stuff. Dinesh, do you want to add anything to that right there?
You guys are killing it. Bad Idea Corp. We're just
excellent.
We're not thin, man. Go to Bad Idea Corp if you're excited about this stuff. If you're not, totally cool.
Yeah, it comes out next month, looking amazing. Tankers is coming out the following month. I'm super psyched about Tankers. I'm going to.
I love it. You're doing the pitch. I should have pitched the books. You're right, but you're doing the pitch for me.
Oh, okay.
Don't buy Sleigh Bells. Forget Sleigh Bells. I want that book to fail. Warren deserves it.
You have a CEO here that truly believes.
This is hilarious. I love it.
And he'll do anything to stop it.
I'm trying so hard.
Even
the one thing I did do is
get the Christmas books. That's amazing.
In July.
That is absolutely amazing. But in all seriousness, Dinesh, thank you so much for joining us and
thank you guys.
Idea with us. And we once they come out, we'll be sure to be pumping you up because I'm excited about all the creators you have on there, and people are saying in the comments how excited they are to see these stories coming to life. So really, really wish you the best.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Chris, always a pleasure being here with you each and every week. What are your parting words for the evening?
I will say, like I said, I didn't get much sleep last night. I had a lot of personal family stuff going on, and I had a huge live stream before this show on my channel, and I just coming here and being able to discuss Bad Idea was so awesome. I feel like I was just almost like a kid, in the 80s and 90s again, getting some fresh goodness that's going to keep me excited to, hit up the comic shop. So Dinesh, I really appreciate,
Thanks,
everything that you shared with us today. I learned a lot. And like I said, it really spoke to the collector side of me and the business side of me. So really enjoyed tonight's show and you being here.
Thanks, man.
And we enjoy you guys, the audience. You guys make it so much fun each and every week. We will be back here next Friday, as we are every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Don't forget to tell us your fresh from the comic shop picks. We will show them on here as we always do each and every week. Stay in touch with us on Instagram @ComicBookCanon. And again, we'll be looking forward to you guys next week. You guys, until then, have a great week. See ya.